All right. So we're going to figure out how to play Fiasco tonight. I've played it once. Jeff has played it a few times. James has watched it once.
I played it once. I
You played
watched
it
it once.
once.
Yeah.
Okay. So we sort of know what we're doing, but not really. It'll be great fun. And I think for Fiasco, Jeff and I were chatting earlier, the rules are a little less important. It's more about the improv later. So we'll each start with a set of white dice and a set of black dice. Mostly you just need two pairs of 2d6s. Did I say that right? Yeah. Two pairs of 2d6s that you can tell apart. And I think I will go ahead and see if I can figure out how to screen share. Oh crap, how do I do that?
You should be able to use the screen with the green screen with the white arrow.
Yeah,
you
there
have
it
on the
is.
left toolbar.
Oh, I actually have a toolbar. So fancy. Okay. So, can we see?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's just go ahead and everybody roll your 4d6, and it doesn't matter black or white right now. I don't think. I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Nope.
And then we'll just go in order. Anybody have a 1?
No.
Ooh. Anybody have a 2?
I have a 2.
Yes. I have 1.
So there are 2 2s?
2 2s.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody got 3?
None for me.
Nope.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got 2 4s. Jeff?
No.
2 4s for me.
2 4s. All right. I got 1 4. Jeff? Or, sorry, 1 5?
2 5s.
2 5s. James?
No 5s.
No 5s. I got 1 6. Jeff?
1 6.
1 6. James?
1 6.
1 6. Okay. Well, that'll be interesting. Because when you do Fiasco, you use the 4d6 when you're starting to determine your relationship category based on the playset. So there's a fun little rule about starting with the person who grew up in the smallest hometown. Mine was like 35,000 people. James?
I'm going to have to look it up.
Give me a ballpark. Over, under 50?
Under 50.
Under 50? Ooh.
Yeah.
Over, under 30?
I was wrong. Well, it says, okay, technically where I grew, apparently 53,000. I had no concept of what, so I was wrong. 53,000.
Jeff, how big's yours?
485,000.
Where did you grow up?
Mesa, Arizona.
Oh, big old city, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not a small town. Okay.
Nope.
I thought my town was small, but I didn't realize how big it was. Well, I guess this is from 2010, but I don't think that matters.
Yeah, probably not. Okay, so now we're using the Objective Zebra playset, which is one of the free downloads available. And you can, now you guys can pull this up. There's the 6 categories of relationships. And since I have the smallest hometown, I'll go first and I'll pick a category for my relationship. And if I look at this page, oh, hang on, I got too many windows open, it's hard to see. So if I look at this page and I can scroll down a little bit, I've got just an alphabetical order. James is player 1, Jeff is player 2, and I'm player 3. So as player 3, I will have a relationship with Jeff and James, and likewise they'll have one with each other. So everybody's got a tie. If you were sitting at a table, you would have a tie with the person on the right and your person on the left. And since there's 3 of us, it makes it real simple, and everybody's all stuck together.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about having 3 people. Normally you'd play with like 4 or 5, where you would have people who you weren't necessarily connected with it within the rules.
Yeah.
But with 3 people, we'll literally all have a connection with each other, so it'll be nice and tight.
A very tangled little web.
Yeah.
So I will go first, and I will. This one has 3 and 1, and in my head that means it goes first because it has the 3 for me. And since James is 1, I will pick our category of relationship, which is the big D6. And I've got to use one of the dice that we rolled. So looking back at our little table, if I can, yeah, this is the right page. I can use a 2, 4, 5, or a 6. I'm not going to remember that when I look back at the other page. 2, 4, 5, 6. So 2 is crew, 4 is old bonds, 5 is criminal past, 6 is family. Ooh. I'm going to go with old bonds for me and James.
Sounds good.
And so I will just write that right here. Old bonds. What number was that? I can't remember these things. Old
4.
bonds was 4. So now I'm going to just, now that I've got this little spreadsheet, I'm going to remove basically one of the D4s. So next player, I guess we'll just kind of go around the table. So that would be to James. So I think, James, now you pick the relationship between you and Jeff. You pick the big category.
Okay, and using, so 2, 4, 5, or 6 like before.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with 2, crew.
Alrighty. Part of the same crew.
So you guys are crew. And then I'll remove one of those 2s. And now, Jeff, you get to pick the big category between us.
Yes. Criminal past 5.
Ooh, I like it. Criminal past.
The one I really wanted was 3, which is objective zebra. That's like getting really interesting.
Yeah, I know, but we didn't roll any 3s.
That is kind of the beauty of this game, is you get to decide some stuff, but not all of it. So already I'm like, that's really cool because it's not the one I wanted, but I'm sure it'll work out great.
Yeah, I mean, you could play the game where you just like literally just pick whichever ones that you wanted to use. Like, you don't have to use the dice, but I think it adds an interesting element.
Exactly.
Kind of gives you a jump start to kind of put you into a certain place.
Well, and at the bottom, at least of the playsets I've looked through, there are quick starts, basically, where they're like, okay, if you're playing with 3 people, here's what you use. If you're playing with 4 people, here's what you use. So that if you just want to pick a playset and go, you don't have to go through all the dice. You just basically pick.
It also kind of gives you an idea of what might be more like central to the story versus like fringe, because some of the connections are very strange. Yeah. So you might like pick a certain playtest hoping for a certain feel, and then you like roll all these weird, like the one-off weird connections, and then it's just like nothing like what you thought it was going to be. Yeah. It kind of gives you something like, if you really want the core feeling, pick with these or whatever.
Yeah. And okay, so I can think of where we are. So now we're going to do the specifics. So we've defined the broad category of relationship. And so I think, if I remember correctly, you basically go the other way. And so since I picked the specific between me and James, now or if I picked the broad one between me and James, now I pick the specific. I'm over here gesturing with my hands like you guys can see what I'm doing, but I'm just realized the screen share on so no one can see my magnificent hand gestures. So Jeff picked criminal past for us. So I think, okay, so but I have to pick, that's right, one of the dice we rolled.
I was going to ask, so you basically use another one of the dice in that category. That's how it works? Okay, great.
Yep. So there's 2, 4, 5, and 6 left. There's just 2 left. So that gives me a criminal past that would get him booted from the Navy, leaders of rival shipboard gangs, murderer and the person he thought he killed, or victims of the master grifter on the boat.
Wow.
Gosh.
Those are some spicy ones.
I know, yeah. I'm like, we're just going to kill each other in the first act, and the game's going to be over.
You know, I'm going to pick that too. I think that Jeff's criminal past would get him booted from the Navy.
Yeah, well, we don't necessarily have to decide who's what in this scenario, so it could be your criminal past that would get you booted.
Right.
And I know.
Oh, it's just between you two.
It's just between the two of us, yeah. So once we kind of see all the other connections, we can kind of sort out what...
That's right. Thank you for reminding me.
Good point,
But yeah, so one of us has a criminal past that will get us removed from the Navy, and the other person knows what it is, and only them.
Okay.
And we can kind of get the specifics later on. So then I'm picking now the crew bond that me and James will have.
Yes, and you get 4, 5, or 6 as your choices.
Alrighty, so 4, 5, and 6. So we were both specially selected based on unique talents. Odd man out on a tight knit boat for lovers.
Yeah, right.
Let's just go all in for this fiasco. I mean, first time playing, let's do it.
As much fun as that would be, I'm actually going to go that we were both specifically selected based on unique talents. So 4.
Yeah. That seems like the one more specific to this playset, where, like you said, the lovers is like the odd man out kind of one.
That could, yeah, like that fits into any situation.
Exactly.
Like, and it's always going to be like interesting and complicated, but
Mhm.
kind of want to get to the.
Yeah, and when you have more players, something like that to round out 6 people seems really good, where it's just
Exactly,
like
yeah.
one more tie.
All right, and then James, you get to pick the old bonds one.
So 4, 5, or 6 from old bonds. Okay.
Yes.
So we saved a life and lived to regret it. Through coincidence, always paired, or one shot the other over something silly. I think that's definitely the one. One shot the other over something silly. So 6.
Okay. So now we move on to what they call the details part. And if we scroll down in our little playset document, you get to pick a broad category, either a need, a location, or an object, I believe, are the only. Yeah. Okay. So, and this is just for you personally. This doesn't necessarily, as I knock my dice tray over, necessarily have to connect you to anything. Like to anyone particular. It's just maybe it's something you want, something you have. If it's an object,
Just something to focus the game in a little bit more and kind of give it pivot points to work off of.
yeah, that's a much better phrasing. So I guess I probably have to go first if we're going in order still. So I think I'm going to pick a need. And I can pick 4, 5, or 6 because those are the dice we have left.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna pick.
And just for posterity, since this is recording and live,
yeah, you're
the
right.
options that we have to finally take care of blank, like to get rid of something, to get away from something, or to tell someone something are like the big categories for needs.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick. To tell. I'm gonna pick 6. I'm gonna pick to tell.
I both love and hate that you're tied down by the dice roll. Like we talked about, it's just there are so many cool ones, but I like that it's chance to some degree because you don't get to really plan it. So already I'm interested. Like you said, that we rolled, so we didn't roll really across the board. It kind of, we just missed out on a couple of options right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I think the more people you have, the like naturally the more dice rolls you get and the broader range you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even still, though, like you say, it is kind of a nice. It kind of forces you to stay on your toes a little bit. Whereas, like, if you get to pick everything, you might just kind of go in with a plan and go with it. But since you have to roll and you have to pick what you based on what you roll, you're kind of forced to be a little spontaneous with it and keep yourself guessing.
It's very much in the spirit of the game to not know what you're getting yourself into because you don't get to look beforehand and pick. You're like, no, we're deciding right now.
Yeah. All right, so James, I believe you're next.
Okay. And so I pick a need, a location, or an object.
Right.
I'm going to go objects. And we still have 4, 5, or 6.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do a strange comfort, memories, or disturbing. So I'm going to go 6, disturbing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's just, there are some cool ones in there.
All right. And that was what number?
6.
Okay. So Jeff, you get 4 or 5 from whichever category you pick.
weird because I have a hard time, like you read it, but I have a hard time holding enough of it in my head to make a choice because there are so many choices.
Yeah, I have to keep scrolling.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
or this and yeah. So it's cool in that sense though because you can't hold it all and go, oh well, if he picks this and this, it's like random to some degree. It's really cool.
All right, I think I'm actually gonna go for a need 2. I like that one of those. So I have 4 and 5. What we got? I'm gonna go with 4 to finally take care of.
To finally take care of. Okay.
And then we get one last round.
And
I think for these ones, you actually do get to pick because there's
Yep.
only 3 dice left.
Yep.
So you actually do get to pick whichever of the options that you want. You don't have to use the roll. It's basically a wild die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so from whatever category. So I need to tell. Ooh.
Well, so his detail was sorry, he said it, and I appreciate you handling putting them in. I'm happy to type it in. Well, yeah, I was gonna say you were doing it all, which is great, but I just wanted to make sure because I already don't remember what it was. Oh,
Yeah.
To tell, right? Oh no, I don't remember. I'm sorry. Was it to get away or to tell?
Yeah. Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. It was need to get away, right? Jeff?
Yours?
Yours.
No, yours. Yeah.
Oh, to finally take care of.
That's right.
Okay. I was way off. That was a 4.
Okay, you guys go through and pick your specifics. I have a small child paging me.
Okay.
So I will be
Get rid
right
of this
back.
4. Okay. I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because we just pick, like, just any, or from one of these, or
Yeah, so like yours is disturbing object. So there's
pick
6
any of
options
those.
there.
Gotcha.
So yeah, any of the disturbing objects there. So there's a strange idol bathed in deep sea muck. List of 13 names, including the recently killed, some crossed off. Broken hatch door with marks of fists in the metal. Ooh. Sealed orders. The Shroud of Turin. I'd have to look that up. Diary of the Cook, explaining that he poisoned everybody. Jesus.
Oh my god. So I'm 100% going with sealed orders. I love, like, the check of we're gonna open that later.
Yeah, it's such a like Chekhov's gun, where it's just
yeah,
it's
so loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of will be up to us to decide what that exactly means. Like it's so wide, like it could be so many things,
Exactly.
and it can just come into play so suddenly.
Yeah, because I imagine we'll also go over. We haven't read like out loud at least what the setup of what we're doing here, and I feel like that will really tie it all together.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should probably once we get these squared away, someone give a synopsis of what the actual basic plot is.
Yeah. So the Shroud of Turin is apparently a cloth that was believed to be the burial shroud of Jesus when he was buried after crucifixion. So it's like one of those. So I'm like the actual one that I like that you can go really weird with this playset. Like it can be supernatural or very supernatural.
Yeah, it definitely goes out there. Like a lot of the stock playsets and just the core Fiasco game, they're all great. Like I think they're amazing, but they are all very straightforward. Which is like you're in a western town and you're just like cowboys and sheriffs with guns.
Yeah, like normal stuff happens.
Zebra one has this really weird, almost like Cthulhu-esque kind of thing where there's kind of weird tinges in the outside. Like you could still play it straight if you wanted to, but there's also a chance for it to go just off the rails completely.
Exactly, and that's what I love, the idea that it might not be supernatural. You know what I mean? If it's in this world, it's like, well, no, okay, something was weird, but that doesn't mean anything really happened. You know, so they leave it up in the air. You can make it as weird as you want. It can be as weird as you want. I love that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to take a look at my choices here for mine. So my choice was to finally take care of. So my options are to finally take care of those lousy kraut bastards waiting for us up there. Interesting. Your stupid brother, the family golden boy. Yourself for a change. Lieutenant Joshua Shepard. George. Who else? Or your own terror and loneliness.
Oh, you came back. I thought I heard her, and I was like, "What? You were
Yeah.
just reading
No,
it?"
Yeah.
sorry, I'm back.
Okay, yeah.
Just
No.
laughing from the void.
Mwahaha.
Um, we had more people, I would probably pick one of the like NPC character ones because somebody
Yeah.
could like fill in for that spot. But given that there's three of us, it would get very difficult. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna have some edge, and I'm gonna do my own terror and loneliness.
You can see the surprise on my face if I turn my camera back on.
I can't actually.
I'm gonna tell. I think I'm gonna be like the rule follower, and I need to tell the Navy what happened with Objective Zebra. Like
Oh,
my goal is
if
to,
you even know.
like my goal is gonna be to get back.
That'll be spicy too, because James. I don't know if you saw it in there, but James picked the sealed orders,
Ooh.
which
Yeah.
could be basically anything as his object. Uh, so depending on what that ends up being in the game, it could be very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So look over the details on the relationships and make sure I got that right. I feel like I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so something that me and James were saying while you were gone is that we should probably, for our sake and for anybody who's watching, explain the core idea of Objective Zebra, like give a brief synopsis over
Oh
what's actually happening here.
yeah. I can just read that kind of intro setup if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So when you open up a playset, this one has the kind of second page after the title is called The Score. Silent and deep, but not running. All is quiet aboard the U.S. Navy submarine SS-495, the USS Saddleback. She's on reduced battery power, nestled in the soft mud of the North Sea, somewhere off the coast of Lower Saxony. It is the middle of World War II. You were specially selected for this mission. They made it sound like a great honor to ferry a handful of civilians somewhere in the greatest secrecy so they could do something that would help win the war. It was called Objective Zebra. It hasn't worked out so well. You surfaced and took them, heavily guarded, to an island that wasn't on the Saddleback's charts. They did whatever it was they were supposed to do and came back in a tearing hurry, followed by a German spotter aircraft and E-boats, and finally a depth charge, tossing Vorpostenboot from the mouth of the Elbe that nearly sunk you. Saddleback went deep and got quiet fast, diving for her life. Saddleback's collapse depth was 200 meters. When you came to rest on the bottom, amid the screaming protest of overstressed metal, the gauge read 226. There's a meter of water in the pump room, and the forward torpedo compartment is largely flooded. The horrible groaning of the tortured pressure hull has mixed with another sound. Something stranger, more unearthly, from outside the Saddleback. Whatever it is like nothing even the saltiest old-timers has ever heard before. And it's getting closer. What the hell did those civilians do? You're trapped in a stranded submarine, and you have to get the hell out of here before it comes in.
So good.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I was so sold on this one. It seems like so awesome.
All right.
All right, so now
So,
that we have everything basically tied up, now we can kind of settle into what these relationships actually are. So, for example, we have like me and Taylor have a criminal past that one of us has, so we can kind of talk about what that is, like which one of us has the criminal past and what that detail is, and kind of like what like our unique talents were that we were chosen for between me and James, and kind of figuring those things out, and kind of finishing up our characters and deciding on who we actually are going into the actual scenes themselves. You're muted, Taylor.
okay. Sorry. I think you guys settle on your unique talents because I think that will inform criminal past.
That's a good point.
All right, so we were both chosen, James, you and me, for our unique talents.
So based on what Objective Zebra is, to me, this is. I'm assuming we're with Germany based on the fact that we're off the coast. This is Objective Zebra. Yeah.
We're U.S. We are specifically U.S.
Oh, we're U.S. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what makes it even worse is that we
Oh,
are
US
off the coast of Germany.
Oh shit. Okay, so in that case, well, either way, actually, rather, the idea is that I feel like our unique talent is getting things done no matter what. Which I feel like for something like this is, if it doesn't go well, basically, I don't know how much we need to flesh this out, but the idea being that if it doesn't go well, our unique talent is making sure that nobody knows about it. Like, basically, following orders no matter what. Like, the two of us are the people that are like, hey, listen, if this doesn't go well, we need to make sure that these scientists don't make it back.
I kind of like that. It's like not where my mind would normally go, but like our unique talent is like unerring loyalty.
Yeah,
you're like the cleanup crew.
Like, exactly.
There's no loose ends.
We're the contingency. Yeah. This doesn't go well, you're the ones that flood the ship. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Oh, and that puts me. So that's your sealed orders. Maybe that's your sealed order.
I mean, it could be, but
yeah,
like your sealed orders are: if anything goes wrong, no one lives to breathe a word of it.
And that's the interesting part, though. That's maybe what we expect the sealed orders to be, but they're sealed. But the idea is they know that no matter what the sealed orders say, we'll do them. Now, depending on how this goes, that may or may not be true at the end. But
yes.
Yeah, well, that would put you in really interesting conflict with me, who's trying to get back to tell the Navy what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm open to anything. I am doing my best to make this as weird and supernatural as possible. Even if it doesn't end up that way, but I'm really pushing for like finding out what happened and all that. So that's the way I'm going.
Maybe that even is like part of the talent and why that they sent us specifically on this is like maybe we have not like the whole scoop, but maybe we have like like we're used to working with the weirder side of this world.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily like we're overtly like ghost hunters or something crazy like that, but like we're the guy who's like, we have some weird occult scroll that we need to like translate. Who knows about that kind of stuff? And it's like, oh, maybe
exactly.
we do. Maybe
we don't bat an eye at that. We're like, all right, yeah, exactly. Occult stuff sounds good. You know, we don't tell our family. We disappear for months at a time, and they don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, yeah, I like that.
Do you guys have the same talent, or do you have different talents?
So I like to think. Have you seen the movie War Games? The one. Okay, so there's a movie called War Games, but the idea is it starts with the way it worked was there were bunkers. That I don't know if this is true, but this is in the movie at least. There were bunkers where it was like the last bastion. Basically, if the other countries bomb us, there are people in the bunker that the last thing they are supposed to do, even though everybody they know is dead, is bomb the other people back. But the idea was there was two of them because one person could not do it, you know, not have the guts or whatever.
I was
not
have the exact same thing, yeah.
So it's like
we have the same thing because if one of us chickens out, the other needs to be there to slap them.
Exactly. Your unique talent and mine is to shoot you if you don't do it, and vice versa. And we basically keep each other honest. Like they're not guaranteeing.
Like if you don't do it, I will, and you're gonna suffer for it. So just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So I like to think that, and not only that, but of course that is terribly secret, and nobody knows that we're there. We're just crew members. But what they don't realize is that, you know, like you said, we know a little more than other people, and hey, we might kill everybody if that's what it takes. Whatever these sealed orders are, you know.
I like that a lot. Now, I have run across Jeff's character at some point, and I know, and one of us has a criminal past. Jeff, which one?
Ooh, it could be interesting both ways. I kind of like the idea that I'm the one with the past, just because of how much it complicates me and James's relationship. Like if it gets out that I have this terrible past, it's gonna get me kicked out. Like that's very bad for our secret mission. But it could also, if we go the other way, it could kind of solidify me as this kind of like mastermindy type of character, where it's like I have all this information about everything. So it's like both ways. I think would be cool.
Well, and I
Do you
like
have
that.
any like snap judgments?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, or you, James, if you have something.
Well, I do. I don't know how the game works, if she's supposed to come up with it or if we just spitball.
It's a lot of spitballing to kind of define
Yeah.
these specifics. It's just a little bit of round table, everybody chimes in, and then you eventually settle on something.
Well, I like the idea that he has something on you because you're the one that's trying to do the right thing. So the idea is he has leverage to make sure that he can do his job, and that's something he's going to use.
Oh, I like that. I had not considered that angle.
Because I have this very like hardcore mission where it's like, no, I need to make sure that nothing gets out unless we do this right. And you're trying to get information out there, but now I have something to be like, oh, are you really sure that you want to say that? Because if you talk, other people might start talking too about things that you made.
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah, and I don't think we even have to like necessarily define what that big nebulous criminal thing is. We can come up with that as we go.
Yeah.
So it can either just get blurted out in game and suddenly that's the thing, or it could never come up and just be, hey, does the thing.
Exactly.
The thing. Sometimes it's more fun that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Finally.
And then
I'm looking most forward to.
One of us shot the other one at some point in time. Over something silly.
Specific.
That's the best part, over something silly.
Yeah.
So I like the idea, because that's you and me, right, Taylor?
Uh-huh.
Because I like the idea that you shot me. Again, so far, based on what we know, you're relatively honest. More so than us, me and Jeff, based on our, at face value. I like the idea that and again, I don't want to feel like I'm coming up with everything. So I'm just throwing stuff out there. I'm not married to it. Okay, I just want to make sure. Because I'm just like getting all these ideas. I like the idea that I didn't think in a million years you'd do it. And just to spite me, you did. You know what I mean? Like what are you going to do? Shoot me? And that's what the guy that gets shot says.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, like over like a bar bet or like something really dumb, like you pull your gun and I'm like, you pull your gun? Like what? And you just go off and shoot me in the arm or something. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I
imagine the situation where it's like, you're like, oh, what are you going to do? Like, pull your gun? And she's just like, yeah, I'll pull my gun. Oh, what are you going to do? Shoot me? And then it's just suddenly there's like,
exactly. And I'm like, come on. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. And especially if we are sort of part of the same crew that does secret stuff, you kind of got away with it because there was no court martial. Because what were we doing there? What were, it's all off the record. So I'm kind of mad about the fact that you got away with the shooting there to go to like a mob doctor and get sewn up.
Yeah. Yeah, so even if I don't have your particular set of skills, I'm someone who's maybe been around a little bit. I know both of you. There's that history as well.
Exactly. The fact that it's an old bond means that even outside of shooting me, it seems like we, drink together or do other stuff. We definitely know each other.
Okay. Now the hardest part for me. What's your character name?
Oh, God. I was like, it's probably not that hard. I'll just pick from the list of them. There's not a list of them.
I mean,
we're American, so I'm like...
we're American, World War II. Are you Googling?
I super am. Oh, I thought there would be like something great, but I like to me the like Navy name in World War II was Johnson. Like Major Johnson. I don't know anything about ranks, but
I don't know anything about Navy ranks either.
Philip Johnson. I know that. No, I don't know. I lied. I was going to say I know that they have ensigns, but they don't. I think that's Air Force. We're not going to get into this.
Maybe that's ensigns, right? Yeah, I got nothing. Okay.
Yeah. I look them up every couple of years. Like, I'll remember that.
So you are playing. You said Philip Johnson.
Philip Johnson, just the most American, got drafted into the Navy type name.
Jeff.
James Miller.
James Miller.
Let's hope that doesn't get confusing.
James. Oh gosh.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
My name's Jeff Doty in game.
Yeah, I'll switch it.
No, it's a good Navy name. Okay, I'm not. It will confuse me at some point, so I won't be
I'll
silent.
change it. I'll change it.
Just go
I'll be
with
John
John.
instead.
Yeah. So now we've got Johnson and John.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Better.
Which is slightly better.
I was gonna say we usually use last names anyway. At least any military movie I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go with Kate Edwards.
There's some solid American names.
That's what I'm going for. Like,
perfect.
we're like when they looked up people like in the high school yearbook, we're like in those classic photos.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So now that we have gone through all the setup, we're ready to start playing, and we start with scenes. And Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. So you start with one person, and they can choose to either resolve the scene or set it. And resolving is when everybody's got 2 black and 2 white die. And if you choose a white die, it goes well for you. And if you choose a black die, it goes poorly for you. And we'll keep tally of how many white and black everybody's got as we go. I've got that on the spreadsheet. And then we'll use that for math halfway through and at the end. So,
and kind of just to build on that a little bit. So each person kind of gets their own time to choose that. So the only rules is the person whose scene it is, they have to be in the scene. But then, like whoever, so if it's my scene, my character has to be in the scene. I can't make a scene that doesn't involve me. If I choose to establish, I get to pick where the scene happens and who else is in the scene and kind of what it centers around, like what's about to happen in the scene. Or if I pick to resolve, you two will get to pick where the scene sets and who is in it, but I will get to pick whether it has a good or bad ending. Whereas if I establish, then you guys get to pick if it's going to end good or bad. And then from there, we just kind of do that in a circle. The scenes can be as long or short as they need to be. Like when we played at AtCon, we had like a 10-second scene one of the times just because it did what it needed to be.
Yeah.
But they can be more
It was
expensive.
fantastic. It was a guy locked up in a jail cell, and he looks at the other PC who walks in and goes, "Boss, something terrible happened." And that was the whole scene.
That's all that needed to happen.
And something I didn't consider, but I see in the playset is that we're on a sub, so there's not many places to go, but you could do flashbacks. I didn't consider that was an option.
Yeah.
There's nothing that necessarily has to be linear. So you could even jump. You could do a future, a flash forward, a flashback now. Generally want to keep it pretty centralized around a point, or else it can get very hard to follow.
And the whole story will be not on the sub or about the sub to be worth
exactly.
Yeah. So, like the one other time I played was also with Jeff at AtCon, and Lloyd, your DM, was playing with us, and he and I had a past. We were like war adversaries, and so our first scene was when we'd met during the war. Basically, he was surrendering to me, and that was one of the only flashback scenes that we did for the game. The rest were more or less linear, or like happened at the same time as something else was going on. Because you do want to keep it mostly centered, but flashbacks are good, and it was a good starting point too.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jeff, remind me, so if you choose to establish, do you just let the scene play out and then the other people decide if it goes well or poorly? Because that was kind of what we did, but I'm not sure if that's actually right.
So this is part of the game I was saying before we went live that like basically every time I've played it, we've played slightly differently. And this is the part that's most often different. So basically, there's a couple of ways we could do it. We could pick so that all the dice are picked beforehand. So if you resolve, you pick good or bad, or if we establish, you pick good or bad up front, and we kind of guide it in that direction. You can also do it so that like halfway through, you do like a tilting point where it's like, okay, we've kind of set this scene. Now let's decide whether it's going to end good or bad, and then you finish it. Or you can just play out the whole scene and pick afterwards whether it went good or bad. There's kind of 3 different ways that we could go about it, and they're all fine and valid ways to do it.
Okay, yeah, so you kind of just feel it out, or like you said, you start out with it, or at the end you say, that went really poorly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've only played this once. I have no preference. Do you guys?
Yeah, I feel like we'll kind of feel it out as long as, like you said, if we know it goes poorly, I think we can steer it that way, or, yeah.
And the way that I see it most done is if you resolve, then you pick ahead of time. So if I resolve a scene, I will pick this scene is going to go good for me. So you guys set the scene, and then I'll make it so it goes good for me. Whereas if you establish, it kind of has a little bit more space to
to go either way
a little bit more. Yeah.
All right. I guess let's go ahead and jump into some scenes.
Yeah, well, I guess do we have any last-minute clarifications or questions from? I guess just to kind of do a super quick overview of how this is going to work. So each person does a scene twice. So we'll do 2 sets of scenes centered around each character. Then there's going to be an intermission. And then what's called the tilt is going to happen, which is basically some complicating event that's going to give the second act of the story a centralizing point to kind of work around. So maybe somebody dies or some terrible thing happens. There's a tilt table in the core book that I'll pull up once we get to that. And then we'll do another round of 2 scenes per character. And then we'll have an aftermath section where based on which dice you've ended up with across the game, you'll roll them and total them up. And based on the results, then you get to describe your ending scene. As far as like how your character makes it out of everything, whether it goes good or bad for them. Yeah. So I guess just quick off of that, it's generally bad form to like kill somebody during a scene because there kind of is these tilt and aftermath sections that are going to kind of, if you die halfway through the second act, like your aftermath scene is just that you're dead. So it's not necessarily very interesting.
Yeah.
So now that doesn't mean you can't have ambiguous things. Exactly. Yeah. So maybe I have a gun to your head, and then the screen goes black, and there's a gunshot. You can do stuff like that. But if it's just like, bam, I kill you, like that's generally considered like not great.
Yeah, like there's not mechanics. So if I'm like, I flood the whole sub, it's like, okay, but that's not in the spirit of the game. So maybe let's not do that.
Exactly. So the heart of this is an improv game. So it's yes and all the time.
But also, don't be a jerk. Out of character. In character, probably be a jerk. But
most likely.
I mean, like even what you were saying, you could like trip the lever and water starts rising, and that's where the scene ends. Maybe something like that. So you can still have those dramatic events, but you always have to leave space for resolution just in case.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other things that's nice about it not going like directly linear is, so if you flip a switch and water is flooding, we can pick up the next scene an hour later and water's at knee deep and someone stopped it at some point, and we don't have to necessarily hash out all the details of what happens in between. It's just, okay, this is where we are now. That's what happened when you're setting the scene.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
all right, let's do it.
All
right, Taylor, you're up first. Establish or resolve.
I'm going to take the easy way out and I'm going to resolve.
Coward.
I know.
All right, so then it's up to you and me, James, to decide where Kate is going to be and who is going to be with her in
And
this
I'm going to go
scene.
ahead and resolve poorly.
Okay.
So I'm going to
Okay.
claim one of the black die. And so whatever situation you guys come up with, it doesn't end well for me
Okay. And so,
or go well overall.
yeah, like it's not a good outcome.
Hmm.
So basically, I like the idea that the first scene is right when we just landed in the soft mud. We're below our collapse depth, which is something I didn't know was a thing until this playset. And it's like, in my mind, the first thing that Kate does, basically. Um,
Ooh. So
so,
this is like right when it happens then.
like, right when it happens, is my suggestion for what, just really setting it up. Like,
All right,
we're
so the
in.
sub has hit the mud, the lights go down into low power mode, and immediately we have reaction. Is it so? Kate's obviously going to be there. She has to be there.
Yeah.
Are both of us there? Is one of us there?
I think we're all on the bridge. Whatever. I don't know how subs work,
Okay.
so please forgive me. But we're like all like, what do we do now? It's groaning. The meter is like going past where it should be. Like, what the hell do we do?
All right, so it's the three of us in the bridge or whatever central point of the sub has. We've literally just hit the mud, so the beginning of the synopsis of the thing. We're jumping right at the starting point. Power is shut down to low power mode, and we're there.
So yeah. So I guess we just start like we're there, and then she just goes, or I don't know what the next step is.
Yeah, so we'll basically just start the scene.
Okay.
Since it is her scene, it'll kind of center on her to kind of kick it into gear as far as how she's going to start it, and how she wants to react. So it'll kind of be up to her to either describe or just start talking.
So you see Kate. She's dressed in her military uniform, hair pulled back into a tight bun, and she can hear the groaning, the metal complaining. She reads the gauge and she knows we're too deep. Johnson, we can't stay here.
That comes as no damn surprise to me. Of course we can't stay here. Based on the low power mode and the groaning of this terrible machine, we can't leave either. I told you this was a bad idea, Kate.
We all had orders.
Orders. Okay, listen. Germans have orders, all right? Their orders are to kill us. Orders ain't never something good, okay? We gotta figure a way out of this.
Speaking of Germans, they're probably still looking for us. So we should at least lay low for a little bit. Hope we can lose their trail. It'll be time. The sub will last.
Can we get a message out?
Not sure if that's a good idea.
We have to report back. Those were the orders. As soon as you're done, report back. I mean, I know we had some unfriendlies hot on our tail when we left, but...
This ocean is crawling with Germans right now. If they pick up our signal, we're done for. If they decrypt that message, we're done for. This information cannot get out except to only the right people.
They have not broken the code yet.
But even if they know a communication comes from somewhere, they're going to come kill us all. We've already got water rushing in. The bulkheads won't hold forever. Kate, you know that, and I know that. He begins laughing a little bit nervously. We got to find a way out of here, he says, knowing that currently there's no way out of here. We're well below collapse depth, or further than, he knows that collapse depth is already pushed a little further than it should be. So we're swimming out of here or we're dying here is currently the situation.
6 hours and I send a message.
Okay. And you would look to whoever's on, I don't know, message duty, whoever would be doing that. I imagine in low power, it's unlikely that we can. But you can say, okay, fair enough, 6 hours. that's enough time. And I would look over at, I'm going to start calling you by your last names. I would look over at Miller, 6 hours, and I'd kind of almost knowing, you know, but not obvious, not conspicuously.
Yeah, like I imagine it like Kate's like in like a chair, like looking at like frontwards, and the two of us are like behind her. And like Miller and Johnson just kind of like look at each other of just like, yeah, message going out, 6 hours definitely, and just kind of like look at each other and just like, oh no, we're gonna have to do something not fun with this
Exactly.
person.
I think that's the scene. I think that was great.
You know, we just
Yeah.
plotted your demise. I think that's a pretty bad outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna say that's really all that needs to happen there. Is just there's just that look between the other two of us is just like this person's gonna be bad
Yeah.
news.
Yep. And so the tangled web begins. All right. So if we're going around the table,
It'll be
James.
James now. Would you like to establish or resolve?
um,
Oh,
Yeah.
so real quick, I guess, Taylor, you already picked a dice for that one, but basically, at the end of each scene, you'll take a dice based off of a good or bad ending. So a white dice for a good ending, a black dice for a bad ending. So if you establish, we will pick that for you, and like which dice you end up with, and will total up to matter in the long run. Like it determines the tilt and the aftermath for your character. So they do have some semblance into the game. The numbers do not matter for the time being. It just matters which colors you have. Just wanted to clarify that before you pick.
Oh yeah, because we rolled, but our numbers we rolled don't matter anymore.
Not for this
Yeah.
part.
But basically, I should leave them here, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you'll need them again, but the numbers do not matter.
Yeah.
No,
So
okay.
so what you can see on the screen
Mhm.
is, so now I picked a black dice. So now in the dice pool, there's 5 black left and 6 white left. And
Okay,
I
great.
have 1 black resolve dice under my little column. And so we'll go until we get to the end. And
Yeah, until all the dice are gone.
until all the dice are gone. At the halfway point, that's when we do the tilt, when half of the dice pool is gone.
Mhm.
So when there's 6 total black and white dice in the pool left, then we do the tilt, and then we do the last 2 rounds of scenes, and then we add up a bunch of maths with white and black dice.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I just wanted to clarify that the good bad ending thing does actually kind of matter in case
Yeah.
that affects your choice to establish or resolve.
Yeah, and I remember that mattering a little bit, and that it mattered the opposite of what I thought, but I don't really remember, so I'm just going to wing it.
Perfect.
I am going to establish, and so I don't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a bunch of my inspiration from the Objective Zebra playset. I imagine there's nothing wrong with that. Where I'm like, well, yeah, this is a great place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely do
there's a
that.
bunch of really cool stuff. I don't know enough about submarines, so I was going to do in the engine room. It says specifically the surreal silent engine room. So I think that me and Miller are in the engine room right after the conversation with Edwards. I kind of was like, okay, well, yeah, we'll go do our stuff. And we went to the engine room to talk over what we might need to talk over. What just happened. You know, this is the first time we're kind of talking after what just happened and after what Edwards said, and we got to figure this out.
I like it. So then we did we want to decide real quick so me and Taylor are going to resolve this scene at some point, decide whether it goes well or poorly. Do we want to do that up front or during or after?
So, well, I guess it's up to you guys. Because I've got opinions about everything. I don't know if you can tell.
I'm happy either way.
Yeah, if you have it's better to be consistent with it. So whatever way we decide to do it now, we should do going forward.
So as far as the overarching game, I love the idea of figuring it out as we role play rather than choosing. I feel like we're competent enough that we can steer it in a good way or bad way if we need to.
All right, yeah, I'm down with that. Alrighty, go for it.
So we close the bulkhead. I'm using all these Navy words. Close the bulkhead to the engine room. It's quiet. There's probably a little bit of water on the floor, like up to our ankles. So we're sloshing around, but it's the only sound aside from the groaning of just all the parts of this metal submarine. And I say, Miller, what the fuck was that back there?
She's gonna be a problem.
I didn't mean Edwards. I meant whatever that was on the island.
Oh, sorry. I mean, business as usual these days, right?
Here's the thing. Usually, you and I, we got a way out of here. This time it looks not so much.
Yeah, we're kind of in a bit more of a bind than we normally get. Normally we have a plane or a boat. Get us away, at the very least, two of us make it out. Here at the bottom of this fucking ocean, though. I don't know what we're gonna do.
No ripcords on this one. This is the last thing we expected to happen. We had contingency after contingency. And now all we're left to do is clean up the Navy's mess and probably die for it. I didn't sign up to die for this.
We didn't sign up to do a lot of shit that we have to do on this damn sub, but here we are.
All right, well.
Those orders, the boss gave them to you. We haven't even read them yet. When were we supposed to? I know there was some rule for when we were supposed to look at them. What was it?
You know, I put it out of my mind because the rule was if shit went south, and this is more south than we ever planned on. So suppose it's about time, but we've got 6 hours to figure this out. We've got engineering working to get us back up there, get power restored. I know there's U-boats, but listen, one problem at a time, okay? We'll open the orders when all is lost.
And, all right, yeah, that makes sense. There's no other alternatives. We can't do anything else. We give those a look and see what the ending of this little story is going to be.
But let's hope it ain't our ending of our story.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a couple people's endings, if not us. There's no way that this information is going to get out.
On this ship, I imagine that Navy men have service weapons. I don't know. Do they carry guns on a sub? I would take out, whatever the standard issue is and kind of hold it in, feel the weight of it in my hand and the implication that it comes with, knowing how many bullets are in there versus how many people are here. And I holster it again and just give you a knowing look.
And if worst comes to worst with Edwards, she proves to be a pest, I have something that might shut her up, just in case.
Well, that's good news. She's an old friend of mine. That don't mean I'm ready to die for her, but you do what you gotta do.
Orders are orders. If quiet is the word of the day, then quiet we shall make things. Friends or not. And he's gonna kind of give a look to you, not just knowing about Kate, but knowing like with each other too, that like, yeah, we're buds, but also perhaps this ends well, not for both of us either, depending on what those orders say.
Yeah. And seeing that look, I would kind of give you the same one, almost as though I feel like we both act as though neither of us knows that we're both here for the same reason. And it's never been said, but we both know, but we don't know that the other knows. So it's one of those. So I don't think it's my job, but I know how this could go well. Well, I know how this could go poorly if we wanted it to go poorly.
I think so far, and Taylor, feel free to agree or not, that so far I think that this is going well for Johnson.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like you've solidified a partnership. Like you have someone who's on the same page with you in a bad situation.
Absolutely.
And like I've kind of given you I haven't given you the scoop, but I've at least alluded to a bargaining chip that I might have with Kate.
You tipped your hand a little. Just a little.
No, that's fair. But in the interest of making this an interesting fiasco game, what if we weren't alone in the engine room?
Ooh, there's like an NPC?
Yeah, like somebody's there. And they come out from around the corner, or we leave and like a movie, you see that they peek their head out. I'm just saying, I'm happy with it going either way. I'm just trying to make this as ridiculous as possible.
at the end of the day, all the negative dice and all the positive dice are going to be used. So it's like
Yeah.
you don't feel like you have to like stack it a certain way because there's
Okay,
going to be
yeah.
plenty of time for it to go ridiculous.
Okay,
Mhm.
so then I think it's fair
Just-
that this, like you said, this went well. That's
Yeah.
reasonable, and because we're gonna have bad stuff later. I like that we're kind of setting the scenes, and then stuff will go down later. Also, just obviously it's too late, Taylor, but I didn't know how you felt about swearing on your channel.
I don't mind.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I
Like I
feel
said, I
like
should have
in
done that
the
first.
appropriate doses, it.
Yeah,
Like,
I think a Navy man that thinks he might die might say the F word. You know what I mean? That's fair.
yeah. Um, I will chime in. We have Alan watching, who was in the submarine division of the Navy.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh
Oh,
god.
all right.
He gets to know
Yeah.
all the terribly wrong things we say about how subs
Yeah.
work.
I know. It's okay. We're already breaking rules, as he pointed out, because you have a woman in a combat area.
Listen, she's really good at something.
Yeah.
We
I don't
wouldn't
know
be
what.
we wouldn't be answering it to
If
her
we can
if
have like
I didn't-
supernatural rumblings of terrible monsters in the ocean, we can have women on our submarines.
in World War II. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Alan, for all the terrible terminology we're going to butcher and all the rules we're going to
Oh
break.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
I
so
have no idea how subs work, so I'm just gonna stay out of that one.
bad.
All right.
All right, so we'll go ahead and give a white die to James, then it sounds like,
Yep.
who is player 1.
Yep. Now there's 5 white and 5 black, and James get a white one. Jeff, do you set or resolve?
Um, um, I'm going to establish. Um, or am I? No, I'm going to resolve.
Yeah, it seems like a great way to do it to resolve, but I guess they both have their pluses and minuses. Where we get to decide you're wherever,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Yeah.
can try and work your way out of it for a white die, but
You resolving well or poorly?
Um, I'm going to start with a. I'm going to start with a well. Take a
Okay.
white die on this one.
yeah, I didn't consider that there was an economy of them, so everybody can do as well as they want, and then eventually it's gonna have to be bad. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if something's going well for you, I want to do a flashback to maybe just after you've either seen Kate commit this crime or just after you've found out about it, and some interaction there to get a sense of that history.
and this was that he knows something about you
Yeah,
that you
I've
don't want anybody to know.
committed a crime that would get me kicked out.
Kicked out.
You know, if I'd been thinking, man, I'm an idiot. If I'd been thinking, I should have been a woman pretending to be a man, and he knows that I'm really a woman.
Oh, that would have been good.
And that would have gotten me kicked out.
That's true. Now here's the thing. Obviously, we can still go with that. I think we can come up with something better, but
Yeah.
that would have been interesting. A Mulan type situation for sure.
Yeah, which has a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, because then I could have used the line "life for a life, my debt is repaid," and then throw Shao Kahn's sword. I don't think it's Shao Kahn. It's been a while.
that's Mortal Kombat, but
It's her own sword. Come on, man.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. Her own wavy sword. So looking at the locations and keeping it relatively central but still a flashback, one of the locations is on the island that we just fled. That was like, I know that's not the word. That we just fled, sorry. Above a mass grave. I don't know if you killed a bunch of people.
that would make this crime very recent. Like this just happened.
Yeah, like now again, we don't have to. I'm just looking at this. That's one of the things from this from the playset.
Hang on just a second. I got a kid again.
Okay. I'm gonna use the time to pee.
Sounds good. Super short break.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Perils of single parenting for the next few months.
Yeah, it's a complicated one.
Yeah, I usually get really lucky, and then I can just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna play my game. You're in charge." But yeah, for the next few months, I'm out of luck on that one. So I'm the only one on call. It's all me, which is why I'm drinking a little bit.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I'm sorry. What did I miss?
Oh, nothing. I went B.
You missed us.
Yeah.
Go take a bathroom break real quick.
Yeah, exactly. That was it.
Basically
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so the scene, so it's my scene, so it's centered around me, but it's me finding out either through eyewitness or some other fashion that Kate has done something terrible. You
Yeah.
guys were setting where this scene was happening. James threw out the possibility that it was just now on the island, within recent. We could also go way back before, but you guys are establishing, so I'll let you guys decide.
Here's a thought. Maybe does Kate know that you know what she's done? That's my question for you, Jeff.
That is a good question. I was just thinking about that when we stepped away.
'Cause my thought would be we could have a flashback to earlier on the sub, maybe when we're starting this mission, and you could be having a confrontation with me. Maybe I challenged an order of yours or something, and you pull me aside and you're like, "Hey, look, by the way."
Yeah, like Jeff setting up the dominoes because he knows he might have to. Things might get bad later. Yeah.
Yeah, basically telling me to step carefully.
And yeah, okay, and because he decided to resolve it well, so it would be him, exercising the leverage over you at the beginning.
Or we could do, you don't necessarily have to have other PCs in there. James, you and I could be NPCs in a scene with Jeff's character.
Oh yeah, exactly. Just something else happening basically with him.
Yeah.
Him telling somebody. He could have been in contact. So basically we were waiting for scientists to do something on the island. We may have gone there, we may not have. But the idea was he is maybe reporting back, just a missive, him sending something off, which I can also see. I don't know what the tilt tables look like, but I could see that being bad later because we are absolutely in German territory. But he's, sending secret messages. And I love looking at this playset for ideas just because it's like, I was trying to look at the other ones, some of the bonds, just to get an idea of even other people.
Yeah, the somebody brothers and.
I like the idea too that given the situation that you and me are in, James, that we probably have two commanding officers, like the public one, whoever's ahead of us normally, and then the person who's actually in charge of us with the whole secret.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we could even set a scene of your commanding officer giving you particularly this information, Jeff. Maybe he's looked at the roster of who's going to be on this mission, and he says, all right, you get this information, you have the leverage on at least this person going forward.
Yeah, and if it resolves well for you, it doesn't, even though it's not necessarily a bond, it doesn't mean that you don't have something on me. Because it's basically, Navy command is hedging their bets, and they're making sure that this thing goes off without a hitch, and if it doesn't, nobody finds out about it. So they're going to tell you stuff if they don't tell me, and vice versa. So I like that because it kind of moves it along a little bit more and starts to pull away the shroud from what this is.
Yeah, so let's set the scene. James, you'll NPC a commander.
Okay.
And you are talking to Jeff's character, whose name I've suddenly forgotten.
Miller.
Miller, thank
yeah.
you. And you're talking to Miller, and you're giving him maybe like a file folder or something of information. And maybe, I don't know if you're particularly pointing Kate out or whatever, but that's where we go. And so Jeff ends with this information would kind of be the scene.
Okay, yeah. So I think that this scene takes exactly, we just had a briefing about Objective Zebra, and I've pulled Jeff aside specifically to tell him something.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is like pre-mission,
This
but
is
like
pre-mission, yeah.
Into it, like briefing.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, imagine like the crowd's kind of dispersing away.
Exactly. We just had the official briefing.
Have walked away, and I'm kind of like, taking a moment to like get all my stuff in order, knowing that you've kind of like nodded to me that you'd like to see me. So everybody kind of goes out. I make like I'm gonna go follow them out behind, and then just instead shut the door to the briefing room. Like put the blinds down. And I'll like just turn over. Yes, sir. You mentioned that you'd like to speak with me, sir.
Now, Miller, I know we said this was just an in and out. You're used to behind enemy lines. This is nothing like you've done before. Now, like usual, you're going to have Johnson with you. But I don't know if I trust him. You've got Johnson, you've got Edwards. They know each other. She can be a little too, above the board, if you know what I mean. So I'm relying on you. This thing goes face up, and you're all we got down there. You got to make sure this goes off without a hitch.
Of course, sir. I wouldn't expect anything else. I've had my own worries about Johnson, too. Especially with Edwards. She'll probably try to make some push to do the right thing, the goody-goody thing, the true American way, or whatever thing they're saying nowadays. It's going to be, if she convinces him, it's going to be hard to stop them. I don't know what I'm going to do if that comes up.
Well, listen, it's not my job to tell you how to do it, but you better find something. This is very important. This Objective Zebra, this could be the end of the war. No, look at me. You don't understand, soldier. The end of the world war. And if this doesn't go well, whose ass do you think is on the chopping block?
All of ours, but most importantly, us.
Yes, that's right. Us. And more specifically, me. I'm up for a promotion, and you are not screwing this up for me. So listen, you make sure that Edwards and Johnson are a non-starter. You get them back home safe, and you complete Objective Zebra.
Of course, sir. I've never failed to follow orders yet. I will continue not to fail.
And a look would cross this person's face. I didn't realize you just did my name. This commander's face. One of slightly more concern than usual. And you realize that it's probably not just about the fact that he might not get a promotion. And he just says, all right, dismissed.
Forgive me, sir. Is something the matter?
I worry about the matters. You worry about the details, all right? Objective Zebra is a little different than you're used to. You just bring them home safe, and everything will be fine. Anything past that, and I don't know if I want to see you again.
Of course, sir. I wouldn't expect anything else. If there's anything you could provide that would help me with these matters, I would gladly appreciate them. Otherwise, I'll be on my way.
Well,
kind of like stand up and tip his hat.
And the commander would... Let me look at the playset. Because I want to like plan another thing, you know? Say, all right, listen. This particular sub, the USS Saddleback, inside the communications room, there's a long-range radio. Now, I'm not saying the Germans won't have cracked it, but if you get stuck somewhere, you can call me, and we'll try and figure this out. Listen, this is a very, very last resort. But just call me if something goes way wrong.
Of course, sir. We know how sensitive communications can be around these areas.
And listen, that Edwards, it should be fine. She's not above you. She can't tell you what to do. But in the event she becomes a problem, well, and I guess it's at this point that I could just say that he says about the crime and it doesn't need to come out yet, because I kind of like that a little more, because it also means I don't have to decide exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Is that
I mean, the
fair?
scene could just like fade to black right there, where he's like, "Well,
Yeah.
about Edwards. Well, here's the thing."
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
Awesome.
Alrighty, there we go. I've already added my white die to the spreadsheet there. So that is
Excellent.
all square. That's already one time around. So we'll do another round exactly the same way. Taylor, James, and me, and then that'll be the tilt after those 3 scenes.
Okay, great.
All right, so I will establish the scene since I chose to resolve last time. Won't make you guys do all the work. I think we're like, and I need my, you're right, I need my place set up so that I can see all the different options here because it's
Yeah.
really helpful.
It's great to draw from. There's so much inspiration in there.
Yeah. I think I want a scene with, I can remember everybody's names. Oh, God. And they're just such generic names. I'm so
I
bad.
know. I'm so bad at it always. I've been doing okay this game, but when I play D&D, oh my god. I just
Yeah.
call people by their real
Johnson
name.
and Miller are your
Johnson and
choices.
Miller.
I forgot my name in the last scene. I'm like, oh god.
Okay, so I want a scene with Johnson, and he and I, let's say we're like 3 hours in, and we are near the weapons locker.
Okay. 3 hours into having crashed already? Like 3
Yep.
hours into 6 hour window? Okay.
3 hours in.
So time's half up for us to figure
Yeah.
something out before Kate tries to blow the whistle.
And potentially get us killed. Okay, so so you establish, which means that we at some point get to decide how it goes poorly. So Jeff, of course, you're not in this scene. Or well. Sorry.
Or well,
I
it could
forgot it could go either way. I was like, all right, no, that's my fault. But I was gonna say, of course.
I think I know what James is gonna pick.
I didn't think about it in my mind. Yeah, because I guess there's still plenty of both, so it doesn't matter. You know, I like the idea of things going well now, so they can go really poorly later. Like when it matters, you know.
Exactly. When things get complicated, that's when you throw all those black dice.
Exactly. So I like that. So okay, so we're by a weapons locker, and it's just you and I. I imagine this seems secluded.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been 3 hours, so I'm probably trying to persuade you to give us more time.
Yeah, sounds good.
Even though 3 hours is plenty of time, but you may not realize all the things going on in the background, and so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Johnson, things are not going well.
I know. We're taking on water, and well, it's been bad before, but it ain't never been this bad.
There's more.
How can there be more? There's enough already, all right? My cup runneth over.
Oh, your cup's about to keep running. The weapons locker.
Yeah?
I don't know where the keys are. They're missing.
Well, the boat ain't that big. I imagine that this would be something the captain has. I see us all as kind of on the same level, but there's, like you said, somebody that's above us. Or I guess maybe there's a thing they call it, a quartermaster.
Yeah, quartermaster.
So quartermaster would have him. So maybe you're the quartermaster, and you can't find them. Okay.
Well, they're... I keep the weapons locker keys separate. I don't like having it on my person, just for safety. It's always locked away. I went to my desk. Gone.
All right, well, I guess we can't tell what weapons are missing. We've got our service weapons. Okay. Well, listen. This is going to take some time to figure out, all right? We need more time. I know you're hot on calling command, but the last thing we need is Germans coming down on us with weapons walking around this place.
Don't you hear that noise?
There's lots of noises out there, all right? Even the old-timers don't know what's going on. But listen.
Philip, I'm not stupid.
I'm not calling you stupid. I'm just saying maybe there's more to this when we realized. We were told it's just a ferrying mission, back and forth. Nothing big, maybe slightly behind enemy lines, but we shouldn't even need anything from the weapons locker. Could it have been one of the scientists?
I mean, they haven't been acting right since they came back. I mean, you saw that one fellow. He looked paler than a sheet, and I don't think he said 2 words. He's been in the infirmary the whole time, just rocking back and forth.
Listen, not everyone's got their sea legs, all right? Least of all, just some scientists.
It wasn't seasickness. You and I both know that.
And a look would cross his face as though he's really doing his best to convince himself that it's just seasickness. But the weight, the literal weight and pressure of the situation is pushing down on him. All right, well, I'll keep an eye out for the keys. Keep my ear to the ground. And, well, just keep your service pistol with you.
You gonna tell him about it?
Tell him about what?
About the keys.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She'll just turn and walk away.
And he would go to call out, but he would instead sort of turn to the weapons locker and kind of lean on it. God damn it. He would mumble.
I like it. I like it.
Alrighty.
So I wouldn't say that went poorly.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that went pretty well for Kate
well.
actually.
Yeah.
No one's trying to shoot me yet, so.
That's true. And you've got some leverage, you know, applying your leverage to me. We're old friends. You know, like you said, you're not stupid.
Yeah. Use that first name basis.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of solidifying that, you know, while there is this pairing of Miller and Johnson, that, you know, that it's not just 2 against 1, that it's more complicated than that, which definitely is a positive turn for Kate. She's going to need friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that about, obviously that's sort of the interleaved, you know, we all have relationships with each other, which immediately makes it more interesting.
Alrighty, so yeah, I think we'll give you a nice old white dice on that one.
Yep, just put it in. And James, now you pick. Do you resolve or do you establish?
So I establish, because there's way too many cool locations here, and I think it's time we start getting into the weird stuff. So one of the things here is, so it says it's on a naval base, but I think that this should be on the island. So on the island, we, you know, just there, you know, we basically pulled up, we set up a perimeter, say, you know, this is an island off the coast of Germany, but not necessarily occupied, probably not even on any maps. And so we get everything ready, you know, we're just sort of standing guard, maybe delegating to some of the lowlier people to just do it, to kind of, you know, keep everything, the scientists go. And I follow one of the scientists, you know, in fact, maybe I take, you know, I suggest that Miller comes with me. So it's me and Miller, and we sort of follow a scientist, you know, leave command, and we come to the heavily guarded concrete bunker labeled Zebra Prime. So basically people below us guarding this, that's where the scientists went. and we are trying to figure out maybe what is happening.
All right, so this is a flashback then, kind of a little bit before of us
Yes.
trying to figure out what's going on in this bunker.
Exactly. Yeah, this is on the island. The bunker is, guarded by people that know that we shouldn't be in there, but we're kind of able to a little bit, kind of walk around like, oh, just checking everything out, making sure it's all above board. But we can't really get a good glimpse aside from when the door opens. We see that there's just like a ladder that goes down. That's it. And probably occasionally like very slight seismic shake. Nothing like earthquake, but like almost like, did you feel that? When the lights flicker and you look at the other person in the room, like, did you see that? Kind of like that.
Okay.
And so, we would sort of sneak up up to the tree line, and then when we see, okay, there's this bunker and these people that are standing guard there, not our people that were here on the island before, I think, and so we kind of walk up. We've got just looking as official as we can, and we kind of glimpse in there, and I walk up to one of the guards, just routine inspection, making sure everything's okay, making sure it's our job. These scientists stay safe, so I just figured I'd have a look around in there and just make sure everything's going well. He would say to the guard. I guess Taylor, you're here, so you might as well be a guard.
Sir, you'll need to back up. You're not allowed to be here.
What are you talking about? I was sent here. Just go ahead and open the door and listen, soldier. You don't got to level your gun at me, okay? We're on the same team here. I'm just trying to make sure that my job gets done. You've got orders, same as me.
I understand that, sir. I'm going to have to ask you to back away.
Okay. I get it. And I would sort of walk away, and Miller, following me. This is about, we'd kind of saunter off a little bit, kind of trying to listen. And one of these sort of slight seismic variances would occur. And I'd look over at the guards, and they'd be still stone-faced. And I'd look at Miller, and I'd say, yeah, you're Miller, okay. Look at Miller, and I'd say, did you feel that?
Yeah, the guard was sure being fiery.
No. The ground. I haven't spent much time on islands, but for a minute there, it felt like I was on the deck of a boat, just for an instant.
Must just be adjusting after getting off the boat. It could take a little bit of time sometimes. I didn't feel anything.
I've been a Navy man for 2 decades, all right? This ain't just no... I got my sea legs, okay? There's something else, and it would happen again. Just again, a little bit. Miller may not even notice. There it was again. And these guards, they haven't even got ranks on them. They just got guns and fatigues. What is going on here?
Look, I don't know what you think you're feeling. I don't care, to be honest. But you're all right about one thing, and that is these guards are being awfully prickly about their business. Most times military, they at least know we're just trying to do what we're supposed to do, same as them. People here, they're different. And he's going to kind of like give Johnson just the brief glimmer of like, we're also the different ones. So we kind of like get it at the same time. But yeah, whatever's in there, they're sure keeping it under lock and key.
Yeah, no, usually we're the only different ones. Seems like this time everyone's roped in.
Yeah, everyone's got their secret, even more so than usual. I think whatever's going on here might be a different kind of secret.
And so this seems relatively. What I'd like to do is relatively broad in the terms of the game outside of the scene, so we can workshop this. But basically, I would like for this to be the time when we evacuate the island. So, like, something
radio,
crazy.
like, as we're saying that, like, there's like everyone seems to have their secrets nowadays, and then suddenly our radio is just both at the same time, like, oh, you guys got to get out of here, like.
Exactly. And the guards, they basically unsling their weapons and they run down and they're going down to the bunker. And you just hear sort of shouts and static over the mics, these walkie-talkies. And maybe a lone scientist or 2 or 3 people come, running out of the other side of the bunker as the seismic shakes get enough that nobody can say that they're not happening. And they start running, and immediately we run off and evacuate.
Yeah, I imagine there's this moment too where Miller sees the guards run inside the bunker and leave the post, and he kind of like for a moment like turns towards it, and then maybe he does, but maybe Johnson like grabs him to stop him, or maybe this kind of sense takes over and it's like, no, there's no way we can stay here.
Exactly, like something's wrong. He wants to go find out. This is about the time that it should go well or poorly, and I think that it would be very easy to decide which one of those, to steer it this way. But I established so you guys get to decide. Both whether it goes well or poorly, or what happens to go well or poorly.
Taylor, you're kind of watching from outside on this one. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that it goes well. Maybe as you're like getting on the boats with the scientists, you overhear some important piece of information. Just you.
Yeah, or like maybe like they have like a clipboard with like like a paper, and he didn't have time to like hide it or cover it. Like he was just like running, and you catch a glimpse of something that's on it.
You learn something important as everybody's getting like on the dinghies and heading back to the submarine.
Okay, yeah. I like leaving it at that, knowing something, and I think it not only colors some of the past stuff, but will potentially matter later. And so, like you said,
or even maybe what it is. Actually, something that just kind of came into my mind. Like as the scientists are like running by to evacuate, like one of them has like a file folder with something, and one of the pages like slips out as he's running, and you like reach down to pick it up and to like be like, hey, you dropped something, and then you like see something on it that's like, oh shit, something's like real on this, and maybe you stow that away. Maybe you have this page of this report or something.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect, because it could be a picture of something, it could be a scientific report, it could be, that we're working with the Germans on that, like something crazy, like, it could be anything. So yeah, I love that I just now that there's this object that I have, this thing, this Chekhov's gun of information. So I would say that went well.
Perfect. Slap a white die on there for him. This is going to be a gnarly act 2.
I know, yeah.
It's kind of dice that we're using now.
And because I don't really know exactly how everything works, I think it's going to be really interesting because things are just going to go downhill fast.
Yes.
All right, Jeff.
Alrighty.
Establish or resolve.
I think I'm going to establish. And don't know where this happens. Ooh, I like this one. So one of the locations on here, since we're borrowing from those, is the radio operator station from which creepy noises emanate. And I think we're getting to like ground zero of this operation. Like it's been like 5 hours, 15 minutes or something. So there's still a little bit of time. It's not like right there, but it's getting there. And it's going to be me and Edwards, like at the door of this radio station. of the radio room. As she's like preparing to try to make a call, or at least get the room set up to make a call in 45 minutes.
Yeah, go in and talk to whoever's on comms.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
So I imagine Miller's like sloshing through the water at this point. He's going to like come up towards Kate. Look, I know time's running short. I think we're gonna need a little bit more. We've got to get this sorted out. We can't give a half report.
A half report? We're not going to give any report if we die. We got to get something.
Look, something weird is happening here. I don't know what. This is beyond just war shit. Okay? I'm sure you felt it too. You've been in this sub. What do we even say?
Did you hear that?
We need to have more.
Sounds like it's coming from the radio room. Did you hear it?
No. Wait. The hell? What is that? And then a strange mixture is going to like come over Miller's face of both simultaneous fright and like sly cunning. He says, "Until we know what that noise is, no one's going in that radio room. I'm closing it off."
You can't do that.
We don't know what if there's a breach in there. If you go in there, you could let even more water through that door. We don't know what the hell is going on. That room is quarantined.
Under protest.
No, I don't think under protest. I think it's quarantined.
Fine. She'll slosh away.
I think that's enough right there. Honestly.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I think that went well for you.
Yeah. Now, in the same respect, we don't know how much time until the sub might collapse, but still, he bought us some time.
Yeah.
It's good for now.
It's good for me and my objectives.
Exactly, yeah. In this moment.
Which is the important part.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're halfway.
He took a white die away and gave it to me, but that is, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, now we're at the halfway point. So
time for the tilt.
Yeah. So what's gonna happen?
Alrighty, so go ahead.
So James, you have 2 white. Jeff, you have 2 white. I've got 1 white and 1 black.
Yes.
So you guys will both just roll 2d6
Yeah, so
and add
we
your
all
total.
roll our dice, yeah. Now, normally you would subtract the white die from the black die or vice versa, whichever would give you a number. For us, that's not going to matter, but for Taylor, it will.
Yeah, you just take the absolute value of the total.
Yeah. Ooh.
0.
All right, that's 10 for me.
10 for me, too.
All right, so we actually are going to need to re-roll then, because whose number is what matters here.
Okay.
So basically, the people who have the most black, which in this case will be Taylor at 0, because we can't, and the person who is the most white are the people who will pick parts of the tilt.
Oh, but it's the closest to 0 when you say the most, right? The idea that...
No, the furthest from... The 2 people that are the furthest from 0 on either end.
So I
now,
I see.
Because
So
neither of us
side,
have any black die, it's not possible for us to be... So Taylor will be on the black spectrum because she's at 0, which is the most black, because she at least has a black die.
Gotcha.
Where we cannot have 0.
Because we're adding two 6-sided dice together.
Yeah.
So,
because these numbers now won't matter later, so we can re-roll just so we have a definitive
gotcha. Okay.
answer. All right, and I'm at 6 that time.
Okay, 9. I was really afraid we were going to get the same numbers again.
Alrighty, so the two of you then will pick the tilt.
Okay.
So one of you, so you can decide who's going to do what. One of you is going to pick the big category of the tilt. Kind of like it'll basically be like the connections where there's a broad category and then a focus. So one of you will pick which broad category, and one of you will pick the focus of that broad category. And then that will be what happens.
Okay.
So who was going to pick the big category? So I can read those out to you.
I think that I will pick the big one, and Taylor will pick the specific one.
Alrighty. I think I can actually maybe focus. Screen share this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yes.
So these are so just to read them out for everybody's sake. So the tilt table, the big categories here are mayhem, tragedy, innocence, guilt, paranoia, and failure.
Okay.
So James, you'll pick one of those categories, and that'll be basically the category of the tilt.
Yeah. Okay. I want to pick it without reading the specifics, but it's still very difficult. Do you guys care if I roll?
No.
Because it's hard to pick. I'm gonna just roll a d6 and we'll go down.
Do it.
So tragedy, 2.
Alrighty. Tragedy.
All right. Death.
And then for this, she just picks one, or
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
okay,
so.
perfect. Yeah.
Death out of the blue. Death right on time. Death after an unpleasant struggle. Okay, 3 out of the 6 are just death. There's confusion followed by pain, and pain followed by confusion. And there's somebody's life changed forever in a bad way. Ooh.
Yeah. And these don't necessarily have to be for our characters specifically. Like obviously the death ones, that would be somebody else is dead, because our characters won't die in the tilt.
Yeah.
But the other ones can be us or not us.
Mm-hmm. Just for funsies, let's go with confusion followed by pain. Because that sounds like a doozy of a tilt.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So there's 2 ways that we can do the tilt. And it doesn't really matter, just whatever one we decide. So we can either decide what the tilt is, and it happens basically during intermission. So by the time that the next scene happens, the tilt will have already happened, and then we'll kind of just play with that in mind. Or we can try to incorporate the tilt into the scenes themselves and kind of see how it plays out. Either one can be interesting. Now, we do only have 2 more rounds around each person's scene, so 6 scenes to kind of get to the core of this. So if we want to try to go through the tilt during scenes, just know that we kind of have only a little bit of time to wrap everything up before we get to Aftermath. But it could still be fun. So depends on what you guys want to do.
So I would like for it to happen during the intermission. Because like you said, it could happen to one of us, but to some degree, because there's only 3 of us, I think it makes more sense to happen to an NPC and affect us.
And it can just be a general category as well.
And you picked pain followed by confusion, or confusion followed by pain? I already forgot.
Pain followed by confusion. I think. Oh, damn, I don't remember now. I thought I knew.
I'm sorry, I've already forgotten.
I think it was pain, then confusion.
That's what I thought. So I immediately have an idea. It could be. Because I guess you're right. Confusion followed by pain. That seemed like more the one. But I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so I have an idea for confusion followed by pain. I guess it would work for both. But again.
I also have an idea, but...
Okay, no, you go ahead.
No, go. Um, so my first thought, and again, we can kind of pitch roundtable it and see what we like. My first thought was that somebody, um, on the crew, like something weird starts, like something like they get some really weird sickness, like something that's not just normal sickness, like really wacky, something like nasty
So like
happens. Where they're
the
like,
guy
I'm
that
not
was
sure
in
if
the
I
infirmary,
feel kind of funky. Yeah, something's not right, and then suddenly just like they
there's
like
they're
Yeah.
sprouting like tentacles or
vomit black ooze or something like
yeah.
really strange.
That is 100% exactly what I was gonna say. The guy that you set up earlier that came back, the scientist, he like turns and it like starts spreading or something. Like
Yep.
something not good.
Yeah, so
Um,
Yeah.
I like that. If Taylor, if you sign off on that, it seemed like at least me and James were going in the same
yeah, like
direction.
the
Yeah.
same, yeah.
And so we could, yeah, pick up like with the knowledge that something is spreading and people are already in panic mode and we can't get to the weapons locker and we don't know who's infected and
Exactly. Like we can't get
Yeah,
any more
so-
weapons. We have some, and I think shooting needs to start happening.
Yeah. So basically, we have are just like our basic sidearms and maybe like one clip, and like everything else is in these lockers that we can't get into.
Yeah. Somebody can, but we don't know who.
Yeah, somebody can. Um. So a scientist just like out of nowhere was like, I don't feel so great. I'm not sure what's happening. And he like went to the infirmary, and then suddenly just like, something like crazy, plague out of nowhere has caught him, and now like another two or three people since have also started going into this.
Yeah. Do we want to go
Weird
like
state.
this guy became a tentacle horror and 3 other people are showing signs? Like, do we want to go crazy or like this guy's sick and keeled over? Because it can be like really weird
Yeah,
or
I do
like,
kind of like the idea that like he's gone like totally feral.
Yeah.
Like just weird like black splotchy weirdness and started like going crazy.
Mhm.
And then one of us, probably me, just like took charge and just shot him, which is like, nope,
Exactly.
he's done.
Yeah.
We're not dealing
Yep.
with that.
and
And now another couple people have started to
show the same
show
signs.
early
and
signs of
let's
the same
let's throw
thing.
in some like gravelly voice like shouting in languages no one can recognize.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just like weird going feral, splotchy blackness, and then speaking in tongues.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like Miller just noped out and just took him down. Used one of his pistol bullets to just be like, nope, this guy's done.
All right. Before we start the next scenes, we'll take a quick intermission
Perfect.
because it's
Yeah.
9:30 at night and I think I still hear my child awake. Oh, baby. How you doing, Jeff? We're halfway through.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how much different the pace is with 3 people compared to 5. Like there's everything has to go so much faster. It felt like
Yeah.
in our Fiasco game at AtCon, like we could all just kind of like hang out and kind of just see how it unfolds just naturally. And it would kind of give time to develop on its own. But like this one is like super lean and to the point.
Yeah, with 3 players, you gotta be quick. Hi, kitty. Can I help you?
I have a strange feeling it's about to get real nasty.
Yeah, well, let's see. Let's have a quick look at that dice pool that's left. We got 5 black dice left
Yeah.
and 1 white die.
Oh man.
So a lot of bad things are going to be happening to people pretty soon here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's gonna be interesting. What? You have food.
I know that story.
Mm-hmm.
I close my door because they're about to start bothering me. So.
Oh, mine doesn't stand for closed doors. She will relentlessly bat at the door. I mean, we're talking like half an hour.
Oh man.
Loud, and you can't get her to stop.
I just see the occasional paw underneath it, and I'm like yell at her, and
No, this one has figured out that if she makes enough noise on the door, we give up because it's so obnoxious.
Exactly. She's like, "Listen, I'm in this for longer than you are. Apparently, I'm ready." That's funny.
Oh, that's about what my 3-year-old has been saying.
Same thing.
Like it is way past your bedtime. Just like, but I want to drink.
Like, get the heck out of here.
I put you to bed almost 3 hours ago. Why aren't you asleep?
Yeah.
Yep.
Joys of parenthood right here. All right, ready to go?
Think so.
So I guess it picks back up with me.
Yeah.
Yep. Another round of the same. Establish a resolve.
You're muted, but I don't know if you're talking to us or the cat.
Yeah.
I was talking to you guys, and then I was talking to the cat.
Oh, okay.
Patting my arm. I will establish, I think. Sorry, I'm over here like talking out loud while I'm looking through the places.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm looking at the where we currently avoid outside the now burnt out captain's quarters. So I think that in some of the chaos that's happened, there's been like a fire that's had to be under control.
Even one better, I like that there's not a captain on board anymore. That the captain, it's burnt out. Like there was a fire, he got trapped, he died, something like there's a reason there's no commanding officer telling us what to do.
Yeah. We had to shoot him.
We also might have had to shoot him. That's actually a really good point.
I was gonna say maybe he started to turn too, and like nobody wanted to be the guy who like went in there and shot the commanding officer, so they just like barricaded him in his room and set it on fire.
Or they just barricaded
like, we're
him
not
in
touching that.
They barricaded him in, and he set it on fire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. They're just like, we're not allowed to shoot our boss. Like even in bad situations, it's still like rules are rules. We have to follow some level of procedure here. But we also can't have him around.
Yeah.
So they just like lock him in there, and then suddenly smoke is like pouring out, and then by the time that anybody can get anything done, the room's gone up, and the captain's burnt to a crisp inside.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so I'm outside there. I think the three of us are there. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's all three of us.
Yeah, I imagine that we are sort of the next in command. Again, I don't know how the ranks work, but obviously there's a reason we're not NPCs. So it's like, it's kind of, there's not a leader, it's between us to decide what to do, and that's where all this friction's coming from.
Hmm.
We have to get a message out now. Everything that's happening, they have to know.
You think that anybody's going to believe this? I don't think there's any proof beyond showing somebody what's going on here.
My orders are to report back everything that happened.
Listen, I think orders got thrown out the window the moment Jeff's character had to shoot a scientist, Miller. I swore you were Johnson. The moment Miller... I know, that's the worst part. The moment Miller had to pull his service weapon and... Well, I guess you don't call it murder when they go crazy like that.
I'm with Johnson here. We have to get this situation under control before we report. We need to focus on keeping things here now. We can make sure that everything gets out once we have at least some semblance of control.
And if there's no semblance of control, then what?
And I feel like this would be, as evidenced by our silence, this would be the moment where our characters kind of realize that, well, I don't know, we just, you know, me and Miller know that the last thing we need is the word getting out that anything happened. And so I would lean again on the you know, German code excuse. Listen, maybe this is something better handled in person. I think instead of worrying about getting word out and potentially being a sitting duck, more or less, for them U-boats, we find a way to get out of here. And, well, there's no better way to deliver news than face-to-face.
Especially when it's stuff like this.
It'll be the first thing we do when we get back. And we are getting back.
You think one of those escape tubes can handle 264 meters?
Hey, the hull's held out almost 6 hours. Listen, these engineers, well, listen, they approximate, all right? I think it'll work. There's at least 2 of them left, 2 still working. I think someone can make it.
We need to go in the radio room. We need to see what's in there.
And I would look over at Miller, kind of not sure what to say, but imploring him to, you know, continue whatever it is that he's able to keep you out this long. I imagine at this point it's past 6 hours. We're 6 hours, 30 minutes, you know.
Look, no one's going in that radio room until we get this resolved. That means you too, Edwards. It's an order.
We can't wait any longer.
Damn it. Look, unless you want other information to go out as well, perhaps maybe about some involvements you've had, I think you're going to stay quiet. Are we clear?
Are you threatening me, Miller?
No communications are going out until this is resolved. Are we clear?
Crystal.
I'm in Johnson, to some degree, trying to defuse the situation, but still siding with Miller. Listen, we saw how we dealt with the other threat, okay? He's got orders same as us, and his orders may not be the same as ours. And he would kind of shoot a look over to Miller, and then, you know, just give a that old contact look to Edwards. Like, listen, I don't want to see you die any more than you have to. That doesn't make sense.
Don't think I won't shoot you again.
And you're Edwards. Johnson would laugh. You're right. They're all too generic. I'm gonna say what your character does. No, Johnson would kind of chuckle immediately, remembering at this point something to look back on and laugh at. And he'd kind of, feel the scar probably in his arm or something. Say, we don't need to go through that all again. Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Well, we should get this figured out then, so then we can finally get a report out once it's clear.
Right.
Once we're out of here.
Once we're out of here.
Until then. He's going to turn and leave the two of you there. Continue on what he was doing.
Philip.
Listen. I've worked with Miller before. You don't mess around. And he ain't kidding. Of course he was threatening you. I know you know that, but... You find them keys yet?
No.
Well,
how do we know he doesn't have them?
Listen, I'll give you 3 guesses as to who has them. And 1 and 2 are you and me. I ain't got them. And I'm assuming that you sure as hell don't.
I'm getting a message out.
Oh. Listen, I'm not saying it's the worst thing you can do, but we really ought to try to get out of here first. Now, you heard what was coming over that radio. Even if Miller's just doing his best to, I don't know, stress his own means, well, you saw what that scientist turned into. I don't want to end up like that. But then again, if it stays down here, it dies down here. Even if that's us dying with it.
They still have to know what happened. We can all die in service and duty for our country, but they have to know what happened. Someone is waiting on that report.
And knowing, that he potentially has his own orders, I think that the old bond between Johnson and Edwards would begin to sort of take over. All right, well, you're not wrong. Do whatever you can. I'll try and keep an eye on that weapons locker.
Yeah, I think it's great.
And I think that is the last scene in this game that will go well.
Yeah. I thought it was going to go really poorly, but I think it ended up well.
Yeah, I thought the same.
All right. So now everything goes badly.
Yeah.
It is a downhill spiral. Downward spiral.
So I haven't done, I think it's my turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't done a resolve yet. Obviously, at this stage, we know that it's all going to go poorly. But I think despite that...
You can still choose to resolve.
Well, I was going to say, but I think, yeah, exactly. I would like to still choose resolve and have you both set up the, set the scene. Establish the scene.
I would kind of like to see something happen, kind of after all that's gone down between the 3 of them there, and then between Kate and Johnson privately afterwards. A little bit further between Miller and Johnson about like the next steps, so to speak, of keeping everything quiet until they can for sure take control. But I'm also open if Taylor, if you have other things that you think would be interesting.
I think that's it. I think maybe like in in somebody's quarters, and there's that sealed envelope with the orders.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And discussing whether or not to open them.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
All right, so I think we're in, yeah, probably your quarters, I'd imagine, where you've like stowed the envelope away, or maybe you keep it on your person. I don't know
Yeah.
how careful he would be with that kind of thing.
So I imagine I like to think it's like a red, like plastic thing you have to break open, like in most movies where something like this happens. Like it's very sealed, like you have to very deliberately open it. And it would be on a
yeah,
person.
it's not even like you can just you have to like break the
it's like a break and open and like like it's a serious thing.
Yeah, I think Miller's there. And he's like kind of leaning over this plastic tube on the desk that you've put out. All right, we gotta look. We've had to kill 3 other servicemen on this submarine. If shit hasn't gone down by now, I don't know when it will have.
I was given one order. This is only to be opened if we absolutely cannot make it back. Do you think it's time? I know a couple people had died. We saw some stuff. We've still got the escape tubes. But if there's still any way even one person can make it, we can't open these orders.
Do you really think an escape tube is going to make it across the ocean? Because the only other place it's coming up is in Germany. That's where we're at, remember?
Oh, you're right.
And if that tube is with us when we get caught by them, and we will get caught, then they are the ones with the plans.
You know, they may not be the worst of our worries, you would kind of interject.
Yeah, and I don't think waiting around for the perfect moment to read these orders is the most of our worries either right now. If there's anything in there that might even help a little bit.
And Johnson would look at you and say, you ever seen orders like this? You know what orders like this say? Orders like this aren't good.
At least we'll know how we die.
And so Johnson would probably, I don't know, take his service weapon and you know, this kind of, I imagine it's glass. That seems really cool. And like they wouldn't have plastic then. And he would kind of break it with the butt of his gun and sift through the glass shards and pull out, you know, just a sort of half sheet of paper and just like typewritered words on there. What does it say? Because you guys get to decide how this goes. We know it's going to be poorly. I certainly have an idea of what it should say, but
I mean, chime in.
It is your object, so I think you could probably take some control over it. Yeah.
The only solution to this is to melt down the core and blow us all up. That's what the orders say. Is if there's absolutely no way to get back, nothing we can do, because somebody that wrote these orders knew what was on the island and what was going on. And that if it didn't go as planned, that the contingency is to blow all of us up. And it's going poorly because you now know that, Jeff, and that's not good.
Yeah, I imagine there's this moment where like, neither of us like, we both knew it was going to say something like this, but it's still surprising somehow. There's still that realization of like, shit.
Exactly. Now that there's no chance that it can possibly be anything else, now that we know the reality is sinking in.
And Miller's just going to like pinch the bridge of his nose and just like shake his head. There's got to be some... This is not where this was supposed to end. Not like this.
Well, every damn person I talk to isn't even willing to try the escape tubes. And he would, I think another important point about this would be that obviously word can't get out.
How many?
No one has to know.
How many people can fit in a tube?
I think if you really want to push it, 2. But we're already below collapse depth. I think 1. lightly loaded is the best way to go. But like you said, off the coast of Germany.
And
I don't know which one of these is the worst fate.
It's gonna like, I mean, we've seen crewmates going crazy, water up to our ankles, blowing up a submarine. Fuck, I think I'd take the Germans. How many tubes do we have?
After we crashed, engineering reported 2 were still up. Nah, not crushed in. Hey, I can count that high. And he would look kind of between both of us. This thing ain't over yet.
Yet, orders are orders. Someone's gonna have to stay and make sure the sub goes up.
And someone's going to have to stay and make sure that it goes down, if you get my meaning. I'm not too keen on me being that person, but...
I think that silence is gonna kind of say everything that it needs to say. There's this realization now that one of the two of them is gonna have to stay and make sure that the sub blows up. Now that the orders have been officially confirmed, like certainly one of them are not gonna make it, if any of them.
Exactly. Now, the other thing is one of them conceivably has the keys to the weapon locker and raided it. I'm just saying, if we want it to go poorly, but we do also have a couple go-rounds, we can save that.
Mm-hmm. You could just leave it there, too.
Yeah, it already
Yeah,
hasn't
that's what I
gone
was gonna
great.
say.
Yeah.
I think that's already enough for the scene right there.
Okay,
The
perfect.
realization that the sub has to go up and that one of them has to stay. All right, then that'll take it to me. I'll resolve this one. I'm curious as to what you guys are going to do with it.
Okay, yeah.
What do we want to see out of Miller?
Yeah, well, now, the thing is, we still have his detail, which we haven't really touched on.
Yeah, which one was his detail? Hang on, I gotta go back to the... own terror and loneliness. That's true.
Yep.
That, to me, screams a foot in the door for whatever terrible thing is taking over the scientists. And now that's going a weird route, and we don't even have to mess with the detail, but that's one way to go.
Yeah, I have some ideas about that detail too for myself.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, we can stray away from that. We can kind of, because we have basically one more after this. So we can go for, this will kind of be like the last one that kind of sets up whatever the last thing that happens is. Okay, so then maybe we can stress the weapons locker. We find out, and with this newfound information, Miller has decided he is not staying.
Yeah, so maybe the scene is Miller with the key at the weapons locker.
Yeah, okay. I think that's perfect. I imagine that we're both there.
Are we? Is he telling us that he's opening up the weapons locker?
Well, he's not telling us, but like I said, I was going to keep an eye on it.
You were, that's true.
So even if somebody comes and lets me know, hey, you know what I mean? Basically, I like the idea of catching him in the act of, I don't know, getting whatever guns are in there. I imagine there's more firepower,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm obviously I'm resolving, so it's your guys' ultimate call. But I kind of like the idea that like the two of you have like laid this trap for whoever has the key, and you're like lying in wait, trying to like catch whoever it is, thinking that it probably is Miller.
Yeah.
And then that plan being seen through.
Yeah, So I think that's our scene. Is you're gonna open up the weapons locker.
Yeah, so I imagine Miller like kind of double checks as he walks down the hallway as the room where all the munitions are stored to make sure that nobody's there. Seeing nobody's there, will like sneak into the door um, and kind of like do a quick scan around the room, but not clear enough to like just like to make sure nobody's obviously there, not necessarily thinking anybody would hide there. Um, and then like seeing nobody, will kind of stalk up towards the locker. Give one last quick like look towards the door to make sure he's not going to be walked in on. And he starts to like put the key into the lock and fiddle with it. Or there's the as the lock pulls down, he'll just like throw it onto the ground. It'll like clatter onto the metal of the submarine floor and like slide open this big locker where like the rifles and things like that are stored.
So, based on the fact that I might be in, I'm sort of in support of whatever Miller has to do. I like the idea that Edwards is the one that finds him. Basically,
Yeah.
a situation where Johnson can't be like, yeah, give me one of those rifles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't pick that up if I was you.
What the fuck? And he's gonna like immediately like pistol like come out of the holster at his side as he's like reaching for a rifle. His hand will like freeze and he won't grab one. He'll like flip around quickly. The hell are you doing here?
Seems that somebody stole my key. Wonder who it was.
It's not your key.
Really? Sure as
Yes,
hell
really.
ain't yours.
Well, seeing as though there's nobody above me right now, it seems that that's my choice to make.
You're not in command here.
We'll see.
You're not in command here.
And what? You are? Somebody has to be.
And so you get to resolve it, right? Because we said it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it resolves badly for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you're right. It goes for okay, yeah. Because basically, I imagine that at this point, Johnson shows up, leveling his weapon also at Miller, trying to kind of stay still on the good side of Edwards. Being in a tight spot where obviously it has to go one way or the other, but he also wants to get out of here. And so Johnson would come in and aiming his weapon at Miller as well. She's right. You ain't in command. You sure as hell don't need that gun.
What's going on here? He's gonna kind of like look at the two of you who have now kind of turned against him, especially at you, Johnson, given that he figured that if there was gonna be a 2-on-1 here, that it would be that you would be swinging the other way.
Yeah, and on the other side, I imagine we're on opposite sides of you, so maybe she can see, maybe she can't. But when you say, what's going on here, and look at me, I kind of, widen my eyes a little bit like, come on. And I'm like, listen, you're caught red-handed with your hands in the cookie jar. Those things are bad, but we're safe from them for now. We've quarantined the rest that were feeling sick. I don't think now's the time to give anyone that might be dangerous any more firepower than they need.
He's gonna like kind of flip up his pistol where like the clip would be and kind of see that like the bullet chambered is the only one there. Like he's shot like the other like 5 out of the 6 bullets or however much you can carry. Look, if any more of those things, if any more of the crew goes off the rails like the other ones have, I'm running a little low. I need something else.
Sounds like maybe we'll just have to stay together then.
My key was missing before anybody felt sick. I think we could just cut the scene there. Like,
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Yeah, no, I think that's great.
like that awkward silence.
Yeah, just that realization of like, oh, oops. My perfectly laid plan has not quite been laid as perfectly as I thought.
Okay, we're in the final round.
Final
So,
round.
so I don't remember exactly how the end works, and we don't have to necessarily expound upon it. But we're all going to end up with one of each kind of die.
We're
Two
going
of
to
each
end
kind
up
of die.
with 2 of each, which is really rare.
Which is actually really
Bad.
good. Because that's gonna it's bad for our
Bad for
characters,
us.
but it's
Oh, okay. Because I was afraid that we would all be like, everything is fine, you know? Okay. No, okay, that's
it's
great.
yeah.
Oh, because it was the closer to zero.
It'll make the roll much more interesting because
Yeah.
the numbers
Okay.
that you roll. Like if you have all positive die, then it's just like you're gonna get a medium to high number no matter what.
Same
Yeah.
So
for all
now
negative.
it's gonna be really swingy.
Yeah, and
okay.
the closer to 0 you are, the better. Well, the worse, the more interesting.
Yeah, the worst.
So
Yeah, exactly.
It plays really well for us being stuck in a submarine because we're
Yeah.
all gonna die horrible deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that we're gonna end up everybody with 1 of each, or sorry, with 2 of each.
Yeah, it is funny how that worked out.
And because that's the interesting part, we all traded off establishing a knot. So I'm like, it, was random enough. You know what I mean? It's not like we
I set out to do that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So it works. That's
it
perfect.
just happened to play out like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Final round.
Final round.
Mm, I'm setting the scene. I'm going into the radio room. It's the final round. I'm going in, and I'm gonna try and get off a message. And I think to set the scene, for sure Miller is there. Johnson too? What do you guys think?
So I think so, because I feel like I'm caught in a really awkward spot where I'm trying to play both sides, but if we're all together, that falls apart. So I think that it would be, yeah. So I think that absolutely, yeah, we would all be there.
Yep. All
Or
right.
maybe, what happens if we can kind of play it out right during the scene is maybe Edwards, you go in alone,
Yeah.
but Miller is already there. Like you open the door and he's
Oh,
sitting in the
I
room
like
already.
that.
And then Johnson, you kind of comes in after the fact. It's like, wait, what's happening here?
Yeah. No, I like
Yeah.
that.
One of my thoughts earlier for your scene was you forcing your way into there and seeing whatever was happening and what sounds and so I think that's great. So we'll set the scene. Kate's looking both ways and kind of shoulders her way in through the door, pushing past with the water. The hell? What are you doing in here?
Now whose turn is it to catch who? And you're not sure when he got it, but he has one of the rifles now in his hand.
Damn it,
I
Miller.
thought I made myself very clear when I
Yeah, you
said
said
no
no one.
messages.
No one was to come in here. Guess you weren't included in that, sir?
I had to make sure my orders were followed. And that means no messages.
Sure looks like you're sending something.
Or just had a hunch that maybe somebody would get a little antsy and come walking through the door.
Really?
See if they could sneak something off.
What's that piece of paper in front of you?
It's my business. He's going to kind of tilt so that the rifle is aimed not at you, but just closer in your direction.
Don't do it, Miller.
Look, I was given very clear instructions. I'm here to make sure that those instructions are followed. That's all. We don't need to have any problems. You can just turn away. You can leave this room.
I like the idea of Johnson arriving or showing up, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess.
So Kate is probably half in, half out the door. So if you come down the hallway, you'll see her at the
Just sort
quarantine
of,
room.
yeah, seeing like, hey, nobody's supposed to
probably
be in
like
there.
hands kind of like raised, like whoa, nothing
Yeah.
nothing
Oh,
crazy
yeah,
has to
yeah,
happen
exactly.
here. Yeah,
And so I would walk in, kind of begin
yeah. You
coming
like
down
come
the
down
hall.
the hallway, and you just see her like standing at the door of the
Mhm.
radio room. The door is open, and her hands are up.
And assuming that it was, somebody that wasn't feeling well, one of these monstrous things, he would immediately pull his weapon and sort of rush and come around the sort of the corner of the door and aim his gun directly at you, Miller, not realizing, of course, that it was you. Miller, what the hell are you doing? Are you feeling all right? And he would kind of say that with just a little bit of like are you sure?
I'm feeling just fine. I think Kate here might not be feeling super great, though. It seemed like she was trying to sneak in here, perhaps against direct orders.
And he would look at Edwards and kind of do the same thing he did to Miller before, which is like, I told you to do what you had to do, but I didn't tell you to get caught. Like just come on.
You are playing both sides. I love it.
Yeah, and he would look and kind of like just give you a very brief look of empathy and then look back and say, well, there's no reason to shoot anybody over it. We talked about this earlier. Orders, orders, orders. It's what everybody's given, all right? We've clearly been given different ones. I think that we can just all walk out of here and figure something else out.
I can't do that.
And he would, still aiming his gun at Miller, kind of turn his head to you and say, I don't see it ending any other way. Again, sort of trying to reach out empathetically, like, well, he's got a gun.
Johnson. You're not siding with him.
I'm not siding with anybody. And he would kind of look at both of you, doing his best to convince you. Probably not a very good job. Listen, I'm not sure it's the right call to call out to someone. I'm not sure what to do, all right? Everything's gone to hell. I don't know. And he would sort of put his gun down sort of in a play to try and defuse the situation. Lower it and say, listen, I like to think there's a world where we all make it out of here. Let's try and work toward that. All right? And he would look at both and then look at Miller.
You're not fooling anybody, Johnson. There's 2 escape pods. They fit 1 person each. We can all do the fucking math. We're not all getting out of here.
And he would look at you, Miller, and kind of, I guess he would say it. He'd say, well, there go the goddamn beans. Cat's out of the bag. And he would look over at Edwards. I'm sorry. It wasn't. This isn't what was supposed to happen.
Then let me send the message. Someone needs that report.
No can do, lady. Not gonna happen.
Miller, you can shoot me and I'll still do it.
You make it to the radio first.
You can ask Philip. I'm a good shot.
Oh, she ain't kidding.
If we both die, my mission is still done either way. We can shoot each other.
I think Johnson would sort of back out of the room. Like just He would probably just leave, assuming nobody tried to stop him. He would walk away, not interested to see. Because you're right, you can do the math. And at this point, it's him or someone else. And he's picking him every time.
And at this point, the rifle is going to be pointed like at Kate, since direct threats of being shot have been made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll leave Kate right there. Hands up, waiting to see if she's gonna try and draw her
Go
sidearm.
for the gun or not.
Mm-hmm. That did not go well.
No, that's the interesting part. Knowing that they all have to go poorly, it kind of does make it interesting. When you're like, well, I'd really like to side with you, but that's, you know, I'm sorry, you know, it's got to go poorly. Okay, so
Alrighty, finally for Johnson's last go around.
yeah. All right. I'm just gonna look at this playset and see. So we've got the orders. Miller and Johnson know about them. People are turning. We're probably just taking on more water. So I guess I will establish. But I am interested in input as to how it goes. Because I'm not really sure where to go from here. And we know how it's going to end. You know, this is a little more collaborative maybe than usual. I don't know. I think maybe he would, you know, try one more thing before he had to blow everybody up, basically, or had to do anything, or convince someone else to do it, or abandon his post and not care. So the captain's quarters haven't been opened, right?
They were all burnt.
They were all burnt, yeah, and he's potentially dead in there. And
Yeah, I don't know if we'd really investigated him. We were standing outside talking about everything going to hell.
Okay.
In a handbasket, no less. That seems.
I think I know what I'll do. I will be on the bridge, and the pressure gauge will begin. Will start ticking up. You know, we haven't moved in probably 7 hours, but the groaning is getting worse and worse, and maybe the mud starts to slip a little bit, and ever so slightly, the pressure starts to increase, and so I guess I'd like to find a way for this to be interesting for the story. So I guess, like, basically, I'm not saying I want to skip role playing, but the idea would be this would happen, and I think that he would go for an escape pod.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and I imagine these would be on the other side of the ship.
Yeah. Just do that, and then I'll fill in with a camera scene at the end.
Okay. Basically, I would like for you guys to be in it. So do we want to say that this is...
Yeah, this has to go bad for you, but not like the end bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
want to put you in a pod, so...
But basically, yeah, bad in the sense that I don't make it, I think. You know what I mean? Like, I basically try to abandon everybody, and that gets thwarted somehow.
Yeah,
What
or...
I think go ahead, Taylor.
No, go ahead, Chip.
I was going to say, what maybe happens... so Johnson, you like back out of the situation where Miller and Kate are, you know, potentially gun firing at each other, but not yet, thinking that this is your time to make a break for it.
Okay, yeah.
And then maybe what Johnson doesn't realize is that like Miller either like gets the upper hand or something happens where he basically is just like, all right, no, we're leaving the sub right now. You and me, Kate, we're going in those pods and we're leaving, like at gunpoint, like forcing her. And then we go in and see you like trying to make your way into a pod.
Okay, yeah. No, that's perfect. Okay, so then Johnson is, you know, I don't know, turning the wheel. I'm sure there's words for this stuff. He's trying to open, you know, this. I imagine it's sort of like a torpedo, but it just holds something that a person can climb into. So it's very claustrophobic, and you hold the handle and you slide yourself in and you close it. And he's struggling to get it open. Like you said, he's run across the ship. The groaning is getting worse. You can feel the ship, the subs tipping slightly maybe. And he's got his hands on this thing when you both come through the door.
Yeah, and I imagine like Miller's like not yelling, but like talking, like telling like Kate sternly, like, "All right, get in," and then suddenly they both just like stop with him like with the rifle at her, and then her like hands up.
Yeah. Philip?
Going somewhere, Johnson?
And he, hands still on the wheel, he would stop turning it and say, "I gotta get out of here. We gotta. Orders or no orders. I don't even care anymore."
You can't go AWOL, Philip. Whatever happens, you can't.
I can't because of orders, or I can't because one of you's got a gun.
Mostly the second one.
One of us.
Look, we have very specific orders, and I don't think they've been carried out yet, unless you have something else that you have to say that we should be worried about. I think that we still have some more things to take care of on this sub before you go taking off there, Johnson.
And he would look at Miller and then look at Edwards. I imagine, to a face of what the hell is he talking about?
What kind of orders, Philip?
I told you before, it wasn't supposed to go down like this. Everybody's all about their orders until the orders are to scuttle the whole damn sub. Everyone on it. Those aren't the kind of orders well, like I said, it's not how I expected this thing to go.
So instead, he expects to leave on his own, leave all of us to die here in this sub once it goes up, and he can be the one. It's to go free, abandon his post, abandon his orders, leave everyone else to die.
Well, there's one pod left. Basically trying to appeal to one of you, hopefully the one with the gun, that, well, not everybody has to die.
Thought I could trust you, Philip.
That was your first mistake.
And I think Philip would just sort of shamefully remain silent. And maybe try to start a few sentences, kind of stutter. Edwards.
Shut up. Just shut up.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. One more terrible scene.
One last disastrous scene.
Jeff, you set or you resolve? My cat
All right,
chirps.
I'm going to establish, because it's going to go poorly either way, so I might as well take some control out of it.
Yeah.
So, Miller now, with the alliance against him broken up by this distrust, has forced both of you with the rifle to the submarine core room where this final order is to be carried out, to set it to blow. And he's just got both of you in there. And he's standing in the door with the gun. All right, orders are orders, Johnson. Not letting you walk away from your duty. And he's kind of like he's going to like look over to Kate. And it's clear that he's gone off the rails at this point. Like, Miller is clearly deranged at this point. Me and Johnson were picked for one very special thing. One thing that we both had in common that the Force admired. You know what that was? Loyalty. Loyalty to the mission. to duty, to doing what we have to do no matter what. I thought we both had that quality in common, but apparently someone's trying to chicken out. The one thing that we were supposed to be good at, he can't even do that. Can you believe that?
Shocking.
Think you know a guy.
God damn it, Miller. Listen, loyalty is loyalty. Orders are orders, but you think that's going to hold up if we did get out of here? It's a pretty thin veil to hide behind. Orders, killing this many people, blowing this much stuff up. God knows what happened on that island. You know, Edwards is right. Someone's got to find out about this. Now, I know that part of that was Mean and I maybe get out of here, but there really was a silver lining to it. Someone's got to find out. Someone's going to find out.
The order was that if things go badly, this sub disappears. You know what disappears means? That means everything is gone.
I thought I signed up for this. I was wrong. In the end, I couldn't cut it.
The point of the mission is that everything goes away. That if things don't go right, nothing ever happened. He's going to kind of like nudge the gun towards the controls for the subcore.
And, you know, to some degree, trying to sort of appeal to, I guess, maybe some sort of sense of pity of, you know, trying to give the idea that, you know, he just couldn't do it. Well, that's why there was two of us. All right, Miller.
Yeah, and I think we both know why that is. So when one of us can't cut it, the other can make sure that they do. And I imagine like this is when like the mania has like overtaken Miller, and he like drops. He doesn't like. He drops the gun down to his side. He's like gesturing wildly, and he kind of like lets an opening present itself. As he's like lecturing Johnson on like duty and loyalty and all this.
Yeah, and I think about that time, there's a weird noise from outside, and the submarine moves, and Miller like tips over, and is prone, and there's a grab for the gun.
I actually think, if it's okay with you guys, how this scene ends is like the gun like clatters to the floor, like all three people like dive at it.
Yep.
And then the screen goes black, and there's just like
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
machine gun fire.
Because that's the very last scene, basically.
That is.
Yeah.
So then the only thing that we get is the aftermath after that.
All right. So since
gosh.
by the miracle of choosing scenes and what dice pool were left and a little bit of luck, we each get to roll 2 white and 2 black.
Yep. Subtract the lower total from the higher total, and that's your final number.
Yeah, so you add your white together and you add your black together. And then you see how far you are from 0, with 1 being positive and 1 being negative. You're kidding me. Oh my god.
I have the aftermath tables here that say what results give what.
You're not going to believe this. I have a 3 on a white, and a 3 on a black, and a 5 on a white, and a 5 on a black.
Wow. Oh no.
Oh, geez.
I'm in trouble.
So we subtract the lower one from the higher one so that we
You just want a number.
Is bigger, yeah. Subtract the smaller from the bigger.
Yeah. Subtract white from black.
Number, yeah.
Yeah, and take the absolute value if it's negative.
Okay, yeah. So I got you. Yeah. So then my total is 2.
Yeah.
Because I got 5 and 7. Yeah.
0 is worse. 2 is bad.
Oh,
Jeff,
God.
how'd you do?
So my white dice actually rolled 11, and my black dice were 4. So that'll put me at 7.
God.
So you might actually live.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead. So Taylor, you ended at 0. Right?
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
All right, so we'll go worst to best. So Taylor, James, then me. All right. Oh God, 0. The worst thing in the universe. This probably doesn't include death, since death would be way better than whatever this is.
Oh,
Be
no.
creative and don't settle for the first worst thing that comes to mind. There's something darker, more awful, more wretched in there somewhere.
Oh God.
Oh, no.
That's the description of your aftermath.
Yep. And James, you were 2?
2, yeah. So I'll be right after you. Not so good either.
Alrighty. Was it black? Which was your higher pool, black or white?
White was my higher pool.
Okay, because it is slightly different. White 2, merciless. You might not be dead on the outside, but you sure as hell are dead on the inside. The emotional or mental wounds you have suffered will never heal. The future is a brick wall.
Oh God.
And then mine, white 7. Weak. Hey, you're busted, beat, and broke down, but at least you've learned a lesson about human greed and frailty, right? It'll serve you well in prison, which is probably where you're headed. I'll take that considering where you guys have ended up.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, it's the best of the worst.
I think for the actual descriptions of it, maybe we should go reverse. So like me, then James,
Yeah.
then...
Yeah, because we're all in sort of the same situation, I think, yeah, that'll work better.
All right, so the screen goes black. Gunshots have rung out in the chamber, unknowing as to where those have ended up. And then when it comes back up, we're not in the sub or an escape pod. We're in a briefing room. And Miller is sitting in one of the chairs. He's bandaged up in a couple places where he's clearly taken some heavy damage at some point. He's kind of like groaning as he's sitting in the chair. And the door is going to open. The commanding officer, the one that gave him the briefing in the first place, is going to step in with a grim, just complete flat, grim face. All right. What's the damage? Miller's going to say. And the commander's just going to like slide a file towards him. Miller's going to like open it up. And then he's just going to like frown. Really? After all I did? All right. He's going to stand up, take his badge, all his decoration off, put it onto the table, remove his jacket, put it onto the table, his gun, everything, set it onto the table. Well, all right, let's get it over with. And that's just where we'll end. Clearly something bad is going to happen, but not, not terrible. Yeah.
And I want to add just one thing. It was the same commander from earlier, and he's got a new set of stars or wings, whatever promotion looks like. He ended up getting it. And despite that, you're still in the situation you're in.
Yeah, still getting some terrible punishment. Probably like court-martialed or something really bad. I imagine that he probably ends up getting like put up on like some sort of military trial for like what happened on the sub. Yeah. Like he has to take the fall for it.
Or if they want to keep it quiet, you're just dishonorably discharged.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but like it's one of those things where they basically pin something really terrible on you that you'll never get past, and nobody will ever know the real story, you know?
Yeah, like it's gonna follow him through life that he was responsible for the terrible incident on.
Exactly, like you defected, you sold codes to the Germans, like something like really awful that nobody would ever sort of forgive you for, and that's what you're known for.
Yeah, so he's alive, but his life is going to be pretty bad from now on as he basically carries the weight of a false, terrible reputation forever.
Okay, so then I guess it goes to me.
And that was my nice, fine, meh ending.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we get to the good stuff.
Okay. And so mine was, can you read it again?
Yeah. Merciless. You might not be dead on the outside, but you sure as hell are dead on the inside. The emotional and mental wounds you have suffered will never heal. The future is a brick wall.
So this is particularly interesting because there are only 2 escape pods. But I guess what that means is something else. I like the idea. Usually at the ends of these movies, something else happens where it didn't end up mattering. So okay, so I think that whatever did happen, if we want to solidify that or not, I did make it into one of the escape pods, but it wasn't enough. You know, it couldn't hold. Basically, the collapse depth was much too much, or maybe, you know, it gets fired out. You press a button on the inside, but where we were sort of sitting, it fires out and hits, like, you know, scrapes on a cliff or something, and basically ends up not necessarily, I guess, sinking because I don't die, but it does. You know, it comes up and I'm, you know, the top flies open and more or less right next to like a German patrol ship or something. So it's like I'm you know, nearly crushed, nearly drowned, and you know, I come right up and immediately am a prisoner of war. And certainly because none of this ever happened, I know that, you know, no good can come of it.
I like that. And just for the salt in the wounds, I think your pod messed up because Miller messed it up. Like he went out
Oh, yeah.
first. He messed up the other pod and then got in his and somehow managed to get this thing away and back to an American vessel. And unknowingly you were sabotaged as punishment for your lack of loyalty
Exactly.
by
Yeah.
him in the last moments.
Yeah, I made it out. I thought I was good. You know, okay, all I have to do is hold, and then you still managed to more or less stop me.
And then you'll suffer at the hands of the Germans, a fate most foul.
Exactly.
And then last but not least, do you need me to read the description again?
No,
or are
nope.
we good on here?
I've been pondering. I've been pondering. There's blackness, and then that eerie, horrific noise. Kate's underwater. She breathes, but only water fills her lungs. There's something there, something else. The next scene is a body floating at the surface. It bobs alongside an escape pod as a prisoner is pulled onto a German ship. Someone spots it. There's chattering in German. They pull it aboard. You recognize the body. The subtitles on the screen. Look at the spots. We found one. And then you see the eyes open, and they're black.
Yes.
That's perfect. Yeah, I was really hoping that's what rolling that low meant. Rolling 0 means.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel like it's gotta be when you have something nasty and Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Taken hold by whatever foul thing lurks beneath.
Exactly, and potentially, you know, corrupting, I don't know, everyone. You know what I mean? Like eventually, potentially ending the world.
Yep. Oh, that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, that's, oh man, yeah.
I intend to play a fair bit of Fiasco over the next few months, as it requires only setup and no actual prep, and you don't need a DM, and you can just go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And it's very engaging. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's so collaborative. It's not like, all right, well, I got to figure out what I want to do on my turn, but somebody else is going. It's like, no, it's constant back and forth.
Yeah.
So if you watch this video, thanks. We'll probably be back again at some point for more Fiasco, more death and destruction and mayhem, and possibly more things lurking under the surface. Thanks for being around.